Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour one of Jon and Jim. By the way, we have a Brian Dutcher show at 6 p.m. Nice job, Jim. All right, we'll see you then.
We're done.
We do have Aztec tickets to give away. We will react to what you said was a blowout win. I mean, it was Aztecs fell behind. I don't know if I was shocked that when they fell behind 20-8, you didn't text me.
I was doing stuff, but
I was worried because
I did think of
Can I just say this? And there's a ton of Padres stuff to react to, and we will momentarily. Can I just say this? And I'm sure you have felt the same way, and maybe some of our listeners have felt the same way too. You know when there's a really big news story, and it gets in the way of you pretending like sports matters? Like, all I care about is sports. Like 99% of the time, I like obsess over like net rankings or like the college football playoff or San Diego State football, or or Padres like moves. Yeah. And then there's a big story, and you're like, oh man, and it's kind of disheartening. And these fires, it was hard for me to really concentrate yesterday on it because we all know someone that's been impacted in their lives if you live in Southern California by fires, and you watch this play out, and you've been through it before in your hometown, and I have friends that are with me right now who are going through it because they live in the Palisades and they have no idea if their place is standing. And I'm sitting there at Viejas yesterday, and everyone's thinking about it.
Yeah. Even
though we're in San Diego, not impacted directly right this second. And they fall behind 20-8. And I'm just like, it's just a weird, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
You know what's going on the outside. This doesn't matter near as much as what's going on in the real world.
No.
And then to their credit, they completely turned the game. But no, those first 10 minutes, I was like I didn't know what to think. I was just kind of out of it with my head. And I'm like, man, is this going to be one of those nights where it's just nothing's going right? And no, to their credit, it wasn't. They completely flipped the script.
I was watching a lot of the game, but also coverage of the fires. And it's you just are hoping for the best in these types of situations. And the fire that started in the Hollywood Hills last night, you just think to yourself,
here we go.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Like, can this please just stop? Can we get some type of act from God that just like stops these fires?
Just like rain.
And there was one moment last night, and I know you saw it because I retweeted it, and it
was like, let's go. And
everyone was like going crazy. Like, it's Steph Curry from downtown when they put out a big fire from a helicopter.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
That was amazing.
It was like the perfect, they dropped all this water on this huge fire.
And it just went out. Everyone's like, yes, what a shot.
Like, how can you even do that?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just been disheartening. And like we said yesterday, we're thinking about people that have been impacted. And sometimes sports are secondary. But our job is to, spend our days talking sports. And we're going to do that here today. Once again, Chris Hodge taking Vegas. He's been really good for our listeners with free picks. He's going to make some picks on the college football playoff that gets underway this afternoon. So he'll join us coming up at 4 p.m. Now, we spent time yesterday talking about the Padres and these arbitration-eligible players. To their credit, they've come to terms with a couple of important pieces for next year, including Dylan Cease and Luis Arraez. But something Kevin Acee forecasted may come to fruition. They have not come to terms with Michael King. It does not mean they will go to arbitration. It is a possibility, though, that they would go to arbitration with Michael King. But what this means, Jim, is the payroll is skyrocketing. And now at $200 million for the Padres, that's not going to be sustainable. So I guess it's two-part. What does it mean for Michael King and the Padres? And how can the Padres sustain this high payroll now that they've come to terms with Dylan Cease, who's making more than last year, and Luis Arraez, who is scheduled, if they keep him, to make more than last year?
And Jeff Sanders does a great job of putting these projections out. Right now, they sit at $196 million.
Okay.
That's a lot.
Seems like it.
That's a lot for them.
Right.
Like if we're talking about the Mets,
then it's not going to be a lot.
That's not a lot.
Or the Dodgers.
That's not a lot. Or the Yankees, that's not a lot. Or the Giants, that's not a lot. Give me, the Cubs. You could say the Cubs, but for the Padres, and from everything that we've heard and from their actions, that feels like a lot. Also, because they have no TV deal and they have no extra source of revenue coming in at a big chunk.
And real quick, by the way, the CBT number is actually much higher than that.
241.
And what's the CBT threshold?
241.
Okay, but I'm saying I think, and are you saying the Padres? I think
I
the
don't know
Padres.
if-
Someone put in the chat they're at 244. I thought they were in that range. They're in the CBT range already.
Right, and that is the most important number.
Right.
To be honest with you, the payroll number. I think that they want to keep it at a certain number around probably what they had last year, which was between 175 and 180.
Right. And you're saying now it's higher than that. What they actually have to give out via payroll is higher than it was last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the CBT number is the most important, because if you go that, you become you got a tax, and you have to pay money on that. And the Padres, from all indications that we know right now, don't want to go over that. And they're doing everything they possibly can to make sure that they don't. And they won't go over that number. Like I would be very surprised if they go over that number. I would be happy with it, and I would be like, okay, cool if they went over it, but I just don't think that they want to even touch it.
Well, the actions speak louder than words conversation we've been having all week, and you've been stating, I think accurately, that the actions are speaking for themselves. It's been a very quiet offseason. You can't put that all on Roki Sasaki. I'm sorry.
No.
Because other teams want Roki Sasaki too. Guess what? You know who wants Roki Sasaki? The Dodgers. And guess what? They've been active. So you can't put all of their quietness on Sasaki. And the other thing is, why didn't they come to terms with Michael King? That's a little bit of a glimmer into what's going on with the organization. And the difference here, what's being reported is, well, I don't know if it's being reported or not, but we're talking about maybe there's a $3 million difference between the sides.
Okay.
So you're not willing to come to terms over $3 million, I think, is a good look inside like the psyche of the organization. That $3 million to them matters. But King was the one we theorized might be the extension candidate.
Mm-hmm. Normal Heights on our YouTube chat says that Fangraphs has the luxury tax right now for the Padres at 242.
All right, so slightly over.
Yeah, slightly over.
But think about that. If King is your extension candidate and you haven't yet come to terms and you could go to arbitration with him, does that muddy any possibility of an extension? Or will the two sides say, you know what, we can't come to terms here, but maybe we can come to terms on some type of extension? But it at least opens up the question of, why didn't they come to terms with Michael King when they've never, ever, ever, we talked about this yesterday, under AJ Preller, gone to arbitration with any player in 10 seasons.
And yesterday I said, look, if they end up going to arbitration the first time in the Preller era, I'll lose my mind.
Right, you did say that. Now, they haven't done it yet.
And that will be towards ownership and not AJ.
No,
because AJ's track record when it comes to arbitration, just look at it. Never gone to a case. So it's hard to put the blame on a guy that's never taken a player to arbitration, and all of a sudden now he takes a player to arbitration. Like, that's, to me, on the ownership. 100%.
Okay.
This, to me, today, seeing that Michael King and the Padres did not come to terms on a number, not that big of a deal at this moment in time. Because you could still come to terms before you go to arbitration. And it's happened before. I would love to go back and see, and I didn't look, and I don't know if you could find this, how many times in the Preller era that they didn't come to terms with the player before a deadline, but then eventually came to terms with the player before going to arbitration.
Speaking out of term, because I don't know the answer, my guess is 0, because Kevin writes today, an agreement on a 1-year deal after the deadline is rare. Sometimes teams and players agree on multi-year contracts before going to arbitration, but a 1-year agreement before going to arbitration is rare after this deadline, which is already passed.
Okay.
So they did come to terms like the heavy hitters in here is Arise Cease. I mean, those are significant chips, and they may be traded. This doesn't guarantee they'll be here. No. Those two will combine to make $28 million, 14 for one, 14 for the other.
Dude, that's a bargain in my opinion.
Agreed. Jason Adam, 4.8. Very reasonable.
Very reasonable. And to me, it sets up the possibility of them trading Robert Suarez.
I agree with that. And then did you see the Morojo number is $2 million? Reasonable.
Campusano's $1 million.
And Campusano's $1 million. So the only player they didn't come to terms with is Michael King, who is due to become a free agent after this season.
Okay. So, hearing what Kevin says there, you get concerned, but I only will go, DEFCON 1 if they go to arbitration. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt here. I'll give AJ the benefit of the doubt,
right,
until something is figured out, until something's finalized. I would love if this turns into a long-term contract for Michael King. I would love if Michael King and Dylan Cease stayed long-term, but we know Dylan Cease is going to
Oh, he's testing that market.
He's going to go to the market, and he's going to get, if he, has another good season like he did last year, and if he even has a better season this upcoming year, dude can make $220 to $250 million in the open market. That's just what it is right now.
Sure.
So when you're looking at a player who you could lock up long term and not have to go to that length of $250 million potentially, I'm throwing like the highest number out there, Michael King seems like the logical choice. And Michael King also has a lot less innings under his belt than Dylan Cease.
He does, yep. We talked about that.
He had a better year last year than Dylan Cease, in my opinion. You saw his postseason start against the Braves. Amazing. He made one mistake against the Dodgers in the DS, was the grand slam to Teoscar Hernandez. Other than that, he was brilliant in the postseason. So I'm locking up Michael King ASAP. I just don't know if that's even a possibility right now with everything that's going on with this franchise.
How about this line from Kevin? Preller loathes the idea of a hearing. So like,
I would too. I would hate that.
And he's put his money where his mouth is, which is he's never done it. So Kevin's not just saying that. The proof is in the pudding that Preller's never done it. What's interesting, he writes, and I saw this today, that there's a wide variation of projected salaries for Michael King. For example, MLB Trade Rumors has a projection of 7.9. Spot Track, the salary tracking site, has a projection of 10.7. Kevin writes, there could be more than a $3 million difference for Michael King, which again is $3 million for an organization significant. I buy that. It's not nothing. Like when every little bit counts, and you just said, hey, they're at 242 and they need to stay under 241, you give someone 3 more, you only go higher. Now, to me, you should be able to come to an agreement with someone of Michael King's caliber, to your point. And I don't want to risk the future with Michael King over $3 million. I don't think $3 million is absolutely nothing. But to everyone's collective point, if Arise isn't going to be here long term, if Cease isn't going to be here long term, King better well be here long term. Someone's got to be here long term. These are valuable pieces. Yeah,
incredibly valuable pieces. To me, obviously, without those 3 players, you don't even sniff the postseason last year. Michael King, I think long term is very valuable. I think Dylan Cease long term is very, very valuable. And I think Luis Arise is a guy that could, just be one of those 300 hitters when he's 37 years old.
Right.
Like he's just a natural born hitter. Interesting in the chat, Normal Height says again, interesting ways to have, ways to create more money. Guys like Yuki Matsui, Wandy Peralta, Robert Suarez, we talked about him a lot, Jake Cronenworth, are guys that, to me, if I'm AJ, I'm looking every single day to try to offload those guys. Like, to get as much money you possibly can off the books so you can have opportunities to re-sign Michael King long-term. Yuki Matsui, Wandy Peralta turned out to be an awful signing. But if you can find a way to offload some of that money, I think Robert Suarez is one of the more likely players that could be traded here. That would free up $10 million for you. And then Jake Cronenworth, we know that probably will be difficult because of the length of his contract, but he's also not making $20 million a year. He's making what, 11?
Around 11. Yeah, I mean, out of this group, there's definitely a scenario where you could move a portion of Suarez, Matsui, Peralta, Cronenworth. We'll see, but could you move Suarez or Matsui? Yeah,
I think the first place you could look is your bullpen. I think there's a couple guys that you have to keep in that bullpen. You got to keep Jeremiah Estrada. You got to keep Jason Adam. I don't have a list in front of me, but those are just 2 off the top of my head that are the back end of your bullpen that you just got to keep. But guys that are just, you can offload and expendable is like Robert Suarez. Love Robert Suarez, what he did last year. But down the stretch, that was scary. And if he doesn't develop the second pitch, I don't know how long he can keep doing what he's doing.
And he makes a fortune of money to be closing games in the major leagues. And AJ Preller's had a lot of success with closers that make a lot less. All right. Is there a mystery team in the Roki Sasaki sweepstakes? Plus, maybe everything actually is fine with the Padres organization moving forward. We'll hear from Brian Dutcher coming up as well. Brian Dutcher show at 6 p.m. We have Aztec basketball tickets to give away. We're just getting started. Don't go anywhere. It's Jon and Jim. All right, Chris Hodge taking Vegas free picks, including the college football playoffs. He'll join us at 4 p.m. We have Aztec basketball tickets to give away. If you haven't downloaded the all-new iHeartRadio app, now is the time. The app recently asked me if I'd like to set presets. So I'm like, oh, I have the new app, but I don't.
Let me see your phone.
Okay.
Let me see this phone.
Do I have the app? Is it just on like the old version? Anyway, you need to download the app because now they have radio presets within the app and you can save like Jon and Jim at the top of it. If you're not listening to Jon and Jim on the app, you got to check it out. Free iHeartRadio app. We're there. Podcast version, interviews. You can listen live, listen on replay. Even Jim can't figure it out. My phone, right?
Well, yeah, I don't know, dude. For some reason, your phone does not have the new updated iHeartRadio app.
Cool.
Well,
everyone else can grab it.
Just get a new phone, dude. It's fine.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. Anyway, download the all new iHeartRadio app. So we're talking about the Padres and their payroll and the concerns there as they approach the CBT. What are they going to do about it? Now, it comes with the backdrop of something that the Padres sent out via, a media list today, which is they've sold out of their season ticket memberships for 2025. They did this in 2024 as well, and I think in 2023. So they have sold out of their allotment of season ticket memberships. That does not mean they've sold out all of their games. They'll only sell so many season tickets because they want to also sell single game tickets to fans. But they have sold out their season ticket membership allotment for 2025. Yet they've been quiet with their baseball moves, and they have reportedly tried to lower their payroll. So what do you make of that? Obviously, they're going to be well supported in 2025. Their revenues are going to be significant again, but they're trying to lower what they're spending on the on-field product.
As they should be supported for the on-field, because they still have like a nucleus of a pretty damn good team. You know, they just won 93 games. They had one of the best regular seasons in 2 decades.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't see why the team wouldn't sell out their season ticket holders, right? I don't this to me is a really nice PR. Just like throw this out there, like, hey, look, we sold all these tickets.
Right.
You know, it's great. When you're going to see potentially the decline is if this year they don't have a good year, they get rid of some guys, and then next year they don't have a good year, and then you're going to see a decline, and it's going to go in a direction that is going to make every single fan for the Padres upset. It's not going to happen overnight. Of course, they're going to have, look what happened in 2023, after 2020, last year.
2023.
No, look at last year, coming off of an awful 2023 season. They had records at the gate.
I know. That's the thing. Maybe they can even survive a lowered payroll or not winning at the same clip as 2023 proves. Like, they actually moved more season ticket memberships than they did in 2024. So they sold more, and they've sold out of these for 3 consecutive years. And to your point, in 2023, record attendance, followed up by better attendance in 2024. Will they have even better attendance in 2025?
It depends on what happens. Like, the fans are going to support this team, and they've supported this team, through thick and thin. And the last couple of years have been some of the best years in franchise history as far as fan support goes. And so now this new ownership group, or whoever's, owning this freaking team, you got to give back. If you're going to get support like this from a fan base and you continue to slash payroll, and these things haven't happened yet, but you don't make any moves. You don't re-sign players. You don't give long-term contracts anymore. I'm not saying $300 million, but you get my point. Eventually, over time, you're not going to see these types of press releases anymore.
I agree with that, but is it a vocal minority expressing disappointment even with this current ownership situation, this tit-for-tat back-and-forth lawsuit that's playing out? I mean, there's been a lot of discussion about it in San Diego. We've seen it firsthand. Does it really matter?
I'll say while it might look really bad at this moment in time, it hasn't really shown how bad it could be just yet.
Yeah, I'm saying it's not going to impact. My point is, when I say does it matter? Yeah, the owner absolutely matters, but is it going to matter in terms of fans coming to the ballpark?
If they win, no.
Right. Like I could own the Padres, and if they win,
Bro, Bentley, my dog, could own the
yeah.
Padres.
And here's the thing, and like anyone could own the Padres, and if they lose, they're not going to be drawing 3.2 million. You know, if they go 60 and 100 one
yeah,
year.
but if you lose, like these things take time. You know, you lose players because you can't give them contracts. You can't. You're sitting there pinching pennies over a couple $1 million, right? You're going to arbitration cases because you can't get things done over a couple $1 million. Like,
I mean, they traded. I agree, but they did trade a first ballot Hall of Famer in their prime last offseason,
correct,
followed up by winning at a high level.
they did, but I also think, and I'm not a part of this section of the fan base. I thought that Juan Soto should have stayed here. Now, in the end, AJ Preller did a great job with what he was given and the directives and what he was told to do. But we also have to realize Juan Soto was like a hired hitman. You know, he wasn't a Jackson Merrill. He's not a Manny Machado. He's not Fernando Tatis Jr. He's a guy that was brought in for a limited period of time that we knew probably maximum 3 years, or at least 2.5 seasons, 3 postseason runs. We knew that from the jump. We talked about that all during the trade deadline when Juan Soto was traded here, that if he didn't stay long-term, we wouldn't be upset about it because we knew that he's probably going to demand a contract north of $550 million. Hell, he got a $750 million contract. And that if you can win and do everything you possibly can in the 2.5 years while he's here and he leaves, I'll say it's okay. But if you trade and you don't re-sign guys like Jackson Merrill when his time comes up, and you let Michael King walk, and you are trying to get rid of other pieces that are homegrown talent or beloved by this fan base, and they actually contribute and they're here for long term, that's when fans are going to be really pissed.
Yeah, fair. Although the Soto thing, hey, we knew he'd be here for 2.5 years and 3 postseason runs, became 1.5 years, 1 postseason run.
I know. I get it.
But now they won in 2024, which provided them cover, rightfully cover, because they played well in 2024. All right, more on this on the other side. We'll hear from Brian Dutcher as well. Aztecs win big over the Air Force Academy. Is there a mystery team in on Roki? We've got the latest. Stay with us on Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. San Diego State blew out Air Force last night. They improved to 3-1 in Mountain West Conference play. Next up, big game against New Mexico Saturday morning, 10 a.m. tip time. You can listen to that right here on San Diego Sports 760. The college football semi-playoffs get underway tonight as Penn State takes on Notre Dame. Tomorrow night will be the other semifinal matchup between Ohio State and Texas. In baseball news with the Padres, they've come to terms on deals with Luis Ariz, Dylan Cease, Luis Campusano, but not Michael King. He could go to an arbitration hearing. It would be the first arbitration hearing in AJ Preller's tenure as general manager. The fully electric EQS sedan from Mercedes-Benz is innovation on a magnificent scale, available with the epic 56-inch touch-sensitive hyperscreen. The vehicle is all electric. The feeling is all Mercedes. Learn more at mbusa.com/EQS.
You know, we were talking about the season ticket memberships, right? The Padres, they sold them out. And a year ago, I think we say the Padres drew 3.2 million fans. For whatever reason, it's listed as 3.30. Maybe the Korea game at home.
Maybe.
But the point is, I mean, I'm looking at the attendances in baseball a year ago, and the Padres finished second, basically, to the Dodgers. And again, now, did the Dodgers draw more? Yeah, they do. Now, do they have a bigger stadium? Yeah, they do.
Yeah, you have a fan base that is just like as thirsty as you possibly could be for a World Series. And this is arguably the best era of Padres baseball, even though they haven't made a World Series in it, because of the sustained success and the amount of interest with this team and superstars. And
right, but it's not. But here's I guess the point I'm making here, it's actually not sustained success. The point you've made consistently. It's been up, it's been down. They've been good, they've been relevant. They have highly marketable players. They've done amazing. Yeah, the interest. But that's the thing.
Yeah.
Can't they continue to have interest even with a payroll that never goes over the CBT ever again? Can't they continue to be highly relevant and interesting? And is that the point that they're ultimately going to prove to us moving forward with this ownership group, that they don't have to spend like they did spend to be relevant in this market anymore?
You can, and we've said this before, absolutely win with the payroll between 175 and 190 million dollars.
Right.
You can win a World Series. Now, if with, the CBT number and what's going on around baseball, if it happens to turn out that if your payroll is $182 million, that ranks you 21st in baseball,
right?
Then it's like, that's a problem. But if you're at $182 million and you are a top 12 payroll in baseball, you can win. You can absolutely win. And it goes back to like the Xander Bogaerts contract makes things incredibly difficult. Looking at Jeff Sanders' rundown here of the payroll, Manny next year is making $13 million. Like that's now his CBT number is obviously way higher than that, but for the payroll goes, that's what he's making next year. Xander's making $25 million. It's the most on the team. Darvish is making $21 million. Okay. And, Joe's making 20, but he's not going to pitch next year. And then you got Eric Hosmer's salary, who gets off the books at $12 million after this season. Fernando Tatis Jr., his payroll has jumped to now $20 million, and eventually it'll jump to $30 million. But you can win. You just got to make sure that you have the right contracts in place.
Let me make it the point this way. Are they in the business? I've said this so much with the Padres. I think AJ Preller wants to do everything in his power with his front office to win. But is the Padres ownership in the business of winning or in the business of marketing? I think at the end of the day, they prefer to be relevant than anything else. I mean, obviously, everyone at the end of the day is like, yeah, we want to win a World Series. Everyone says that. Dick Montfort says that. Of course, they would say that. Yeah, they want to win a World Series. The Colorado Rockies want to win a World Series. That's an accurate statement. But are their actions putting them in a position to win a World Series? I'm not saying AJ Preller doesn't want to win. I think he does. And I think his front office wants to win. But is ownership giving him the resources to win a World Series, or is ownership giving him the resources to make the team relevant and entertaining and interesting?
I think if they end up trading, Dylan Cease or Luis Ariz and or Robert Suarez, and they don't give a long-term contract to Michael King, and they go to arbitration with Michael King and say that gets messy, then I would agree that they're not giving AJ the resources, that they're putting him in a position where he's got a budget and he's got to make sure to get to that budget. Preller and Peter Seidler, always looked at, okay, here's where we want to be in, but if there's an opportunity that you think, and we'll discuss it, that could make us better, but it's going to put us above this range, let's discuss it and see if we can do it. And if we can do it, then let's do it. And I don't know if that's going to be the case here going forward. Like, I think that going forward, it's going to be, hey, here is a number. All right. You got to live in this range. I don't care. Just got to live in this range. And that's tough to operate, because if you say you have to live in that range, then you have to make moves around the team to make sure you get there, instead of what the ultimate goal is like, can we push the limit here? If we're close, we might want to push the limit here a little bit.
Like, my ears immediately perked up the moment the offseason started, and AJ Preller, I'm paraphrasing, essentially said, we want to win, but win responsibly. I'm like, no, we want to win. Mm-hmm. Like that, at least public-facing messaging out to the fan base should be, we want to win, and we're committed to do that. When I heard him say we want to win, but win responsibly, and then Mike Schill followed up by saying we want to win sustainably, or whatever he said, but along those lines, that took me right to the top of the organization, like I was sitting down with the ownership group myself. Because when the GM and the manager are saying that, they're not just saying that on a whim. They've been told that they're going to do it, and they're going to do it in this box. They can't get outside the box. Now, they can say, now AJ went on to say, ownership has always said that if we can do something to really make us better, then we can consider it. I just don't know if those considerations are available anymore. Like you said, with Peter, genie in a bottle, he's there for you, man. All your wishes come true. With Jon Seidler, and I don't know this to be certain yet, because he hasn't really assumed ownership, and Bob and everyone else, I don't know if there's that genie in the bottle. Hey, we can make it all. We're always one card away. We can keep trying to pull that card out and make this team better. I don't know if that's going to exist anymore.
Remember the 2022 offseason after their NLCS run at the winter meetings? Was it here in San Diego? It was here in San Diego. It was a great winter meetings. That was very awesome.
Busy.
We were there.
Trey Turner and Xander and Aaron Judge.
They were offering contracts to Trey Turner. They were offering contracts to freaking Aaron Judge. They even met with Aaron Judge. I remember the night they met with him, that everybody was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
They're meeting with Aaron Judge. It was like a red alert. They're offering him what, 400 million, 440 or something. They're offering Trey Turner like 350. They signed Xander for 280. All this stuff, right? You telling me that the organization after that was just like on a path of saying, yeah, actually, no, after this, we're not going to do this anymore.
The one thing about that time is that's before the Machado extension. When they signed Xander Bogaerts.
But still, the Machado extension, hey, $350 million.
That's what I'm saying. But they went from being handcuffed after Bogaerts to being fully locked up after Machado.
So, signing all these, players to big-time contracts, offering all this big-time money, and then the following off seasons that to follow without Peter, that it's been a bunch of nothing.
But even with Peter, and one thing that also they didn't necessarily forecast, is my guess, is their TV situation, which played out post Xander.
Probably right,
and kind of in the aftermath of Peter's ownership as well, and passing. It's all played out here over the last year or two. They got less TV money than they've ever had, and their payroll's gone. The Xander Manny back-to-back, like the Xander Manny back-to-back is $630 million.
Yeah.
They're going to live with that for a long time, the next 10 years.
Well, I am very fascinated to see what they do here. They have a payroll at $196 million. That's not the CBT number.
Yep.
That's the payroll right now. The CBT number is around 242. I'm very interested to see what their next step is. Is their next step, do they land Roki? That's another, what? How many? $6 million right there? Or
million a year.
Million a year. Okay, so never mind. That doesn't matter. But you land Roki, the $6 million would be the total.
Yep.
Right. That's right. You land Roki. Okay, then now You trade Dylan Cease, you get some pieces back that are major league ready. You sign Michael King long term. You maybe trade Robert Suarez for some more pieces. You make another trade for a starting pitcher. Maybe you re-sign Jurickson Profar. Then it will be hard pressed for me this offseason to be like, well, the ownership group is now taking a massive step back. Still a step back, but signing Michael King to a long-term contract, signing Jurickson Profar to a contract, those things would be positives in my mind. I just don't think those are going to happen.
Here's the thing. Is Roki landing on red or black roulette, or is Roki landing on a number? As in, do they have like a 1 in a 50? It's just a flyer. They got a 2% chance right now, or do they have a 50% chance right now? We have the latest on Roki on the other side. Is there a mystery team involved in the sweepstakes? We'll hear from Brian Dutcher on the win last night over the Air Force Academy. It's Jon and Jim. Hit us up with the talkback mic. Just open the free iHeartRadio app, listen to San Diego Sports 760. Tap that little microphone icon next to the play button to leave a 30-second talkback. You can weigh in. Who do you think the mystery team is on Roki Sasaki? So it was within really like the last 24 hours. John Morosi. I'm hearing Roki has spoken with at least one team beyond the previously reported list: Dodgers, Padres, Giants, Mets, Yankees, Cubs, and Rangers.
Do you want to take a guess on the mystery team?
Want to do 1, 2, 3?
Let me think. Sure.
Okay.
I don't.
So there's 23 other teams.
Yes, John.
We can rule out 13 of them because they have no relevancy. Like, it's not going to be the A's.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the Marlins. It's not going to be the Rays. So I'll take a guess.
Okay.
Are we doing a 1, 2, 3, or am I just taking a guess?
Just take a guess.
I think it's the Seattle Mariners.
I was going to say the Mariners too.
Well, I think they've developed young pitching.
Yeah.
And they're on the West Coast, and they're not in a big market.
Yeah.
Relatively speaking, it's not small.
They have a great pitching staff.
Yeah, they always do.
According to that stupid thing that we talked about.
Number one in baseball.
Number one in baseball. Padres weren't even on the list.
Yeah, I think Seattle is at least reasonable to consider as a possibility if there was an additional team in there. LA Angels.
And we know the popularity of the Mariners already in Japan because of Ichiro.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, again, Southern California, nobody's talking about the Angels. I mean, I feel like a team like the Atlanta Braves should always be considered because they're great at developing young players. And they're always good. And they're on the East Coast.
Now, did you see what Roki posted on his Instagram story yesterday, John?
No, I don't follow him.
How do you not follow this guy?
I don't know. I didn't even know he was on Instagram.
He is on Instagram.
I know.
You can follow him at ROUKI Sasaki.
Okay.
He posted a video, said loading ... with like a hourglass.
Mm-hmm.
And he's on the mound throwing pitches.
Wow.
Guess where he's at?
Peoria?
LA.
When was it?
Yesterday.
But when was he in LA? This is from his visit earlier in the month or last month?
This is, I don't know when it's from.
I mean, he's not throwing in LA like during the fires, is he? So this must be from previous time.
Probably. Here, where is it? Here we go. Francis Romero said that Roki Sasaki training at Loyola Marymount University in LA.
Yeah.
Before the 2024-2025 international signing period. From his Instagram account. Probably not recently because of the horrible fires, but still interesting that he's, in LA throwing bullpens potentially.
I don't find it overly interesting because we knew he was meeting with teams at the Wasserman agency in LA. Like, he had set up shop in LA, and you're going to work out. Like, that's fair.
Who do you think's catching him? Like Will Smith?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's funny. The LA, listen, it's so easy to tie the Dodgers to Sasaki. Everyone has done it.
Easiest thing in the world.
So that's not hard to tie him to. What's harder to do is find a team that could be in consideration outside those top 7. Mm-hmm. Like, if there actually is, and John Morosi is a good reporter, if there actually is a team that's in on him that hasn't been reported, that, again, would be really interesting. And I think Seattle would at least be of consideration.
It'd make a lot of sense.
It would make a lot of sense. And what's today now? The 9th? So he can sign in 6 days. Reportedly, he won't sign in 6 days. Teams can get additional international money come January 15th. And reportedly, he's not going to sign until at least the 20th, but he has to sign by the 23rd. It was also reported he would come back to the States and potentially meet with teams in person.
When do you think he officially behind closed doors makes a decision? The day of?
I don't know, man. I think he's got to come here to make a full decision.
I always think that's weird how, a player's going to make a decision by this day. I feel like the decisions happen pretty quickly. Like, you don't want to put these things off, right? Like, if it were you and the signing
could go back and
the
forth.
signing period happens on the 15th, the next couple days here, you're obviously going to be thinking about your decision, right? You have to you have to narrow this down to a couple. You can't have 8 teams there,
but that doesn't mean choices. That doesn't mean if it's a couple. I mean, very few people are ever presented with an opportunity in life where they have a true pick of the litter.
Right.
Like, very rarely are you choosing between more. Like, you're not choosing between 11 jobs. Imagine right now if you had 11 jobs in front of you. You work in San Diego, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Seattle. I mean, that is very rarely presented to any one individual. That's what's presented to Roki Sasaki. You and I, or most people listening, you may get a job offer. That's a job offer. Is my current job better or worse than the offer I've just received? Roki Sasaki's got 30 job offers, and he's a young man. He's 23, and he doesn't live in America.
Well, technically 20 because 10 teams decided they didn't want to even pursue him.
True, but you know what I mean? I mean, like, if I was moving to Japan for this dream opportunity, like the opposite of what he's doing, going from Japan to the States, if I was going from the States to Japan for a dream opportunity and I had 10 or 15 opportunities within Japan, that would take me a while to determine what was best.
After what you said about Shohei, I don't think they'd let you move there.
True.
I'm just thinking about after you've met with these teams and you've had discussions with these teams.
Yes, then I would start to hone in.
I would feel like at some point during these discussions and meetings, you might have like an aha moment or at least a leader in the clubhouse moment.
Yeah,
right?
I agree with that.
You're like, okay, this is what I've wanted to hear, wanted to hear this whole time. I think this might be the team. We'll listen to the other teams as well, and they could say something that changes my mind. But I would bet you during these meetings, at least one team, it has to be one team stood out above the rest, where Sasaki was sitting there thinking to himself, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, or is it the rose ceremony where you've got 30 girls or women and you are the one bachelor and you go on one date and it's incredible, but then you go on the next date and it's incredible.
That's what I mean. It's like at one point in time, he's probably sitting there thinking like, this is the leader in the clubhouse
until the next
one. Or if the next one doesn't do as good, then yeah, it's like speed dating a little bit.
Yeah, like that's hard, man. I can see,
know.
like if you were truly put in that situation, the bachelor, and they're asking you to choose one person, you may in fact like a lot more than one, but ultimately you have to choose one. So he might be between multiples. There might be multiple good options. In fact, I think there are multiple good options for Roki Sasaki. So what ultimately will he
pick
choose?
San Diego.
Yeah, we're not asking for much.
Please
Pick San Diego.
Please.
All right, we're going to hear from Brian Dutcher on the other side. Aztecs win over Air Force last night at Viejas Arena. You'll hear from Dutch on the other side. Much more on the Padres offseason and Roki Sasaki. And Chris Hodge from Taking Vegas has free picks for our listeners at 4 p.m. with the college football playoff getting underway later this afternoon, or resuming later this afternoon in the semifinal round. It's hour 2 of Jon and Jim. It comes your way next.
This update brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Aztecs coming off of a blowout win last night against Air Force. We'll take on New Mexico on the road Saturday morning, 10 a.m. tip time. You can listen to that right here on San Diego Sports 760. Padres news of the day. They've come to terms on one-year deals with Luis Arraez, Luis Campusano, Dylan Cease, and Jason Adam. The one player they have not come to terms with was Michael King. Potentially could go to arbitration. That'd be the first arbitration case in the history of Preller's tenure here in San Diego. And tonight, the semifinals of the college football playoff resume with Penn State taking on Notre Dame. The fully electric EQS sedan from Mercedes-Benz is innovation on a magnificent scale, available with the epic 56-inch touch-sensitive hyperscreen. The vehicle's is all electric. The feeling is all Mercedes. Learn more at mbusa.com/EQS.
Getting you all set for that drive home. Let's just start the show. Here's Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of Jon and Jim with you until 6 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760, the free iHeartRadio app as well. Chris Hodge will join us coming up at 4 p.m. He's got free picks for our listeners. Jim just mentioned it, Penn State, Notre Dame, one of the semifinals. The other is tomorrow night in Dallas between Texas and Ohio State. Now, there were some weather implications in Dallas because I think a snow or ice storm is expected.
It's like snow, yeah.
But I do think that they plan to play that game tomorrow night. The update from SoFi is that Sean McVay has been quoted as saying they fully expect to play the game at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood as opposed to have to play that game in Glendale, Arizona, home of the Arizona Cardinals. That has not been officially determined by the NFL as of yet.
No, maybe it's for this game to be on Monday, it might be like scheduled out a long enough time for it to happen. Now, again, Mother Nature is Mother Nature, and things could happen, and this could continue. But yeah, I think that a decision will be made, I would say, no later than Sunday.
I mean, I think it's before Sunday because teams would have traveled. Well, because if the game's Monday, you wouldn't make the decision Sunday. You'd have to make it before Sunday.
You're probably right. Now, again, Minnesota, I'm sure, has already set travel plans for before that. And if you are in LA, it's not a quick, trip to Phoenix.
It's not a far trip.
It's not a far trip.
Yeah.
Sorry. So I don't know. We'll see. But the Lakers game already postponed.
Yeah.
And we'll just
Kings game was postponed.
Yeah.
There have been I think iHeart postponed actually an event in Los Angeles downtown.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of postponements dealing with everything going on in Los Angeles. All right. So last night, we're talking about this. We're thinking about everyone impacted by these wildfires. And San Diego State's playing, of course, 100 plus miles away from what's going on up there. And they're playing the Air Force Academy with these low metrics. In a game, you just can't. We said it for 10 minutes yesterday. You can't lose to Air Force. End of sentence. You cannot lose to Air Force. You just can't. And would you know, 10 minutes into the game, it's 20-8. Air Force had a 12-0 run. They led 20-8. They looked really good.
Give me on the meter of 1 to 10, the scale. Like,
people were freaking out.
10 would be like, oh my God, what the hell, to 1. Like, that's fine. Where were you at?
In the building?
No, for you.
In the building was like a 9.
Okay, what about for you?
I was nowhere near that. I felt as if there was a lot of time. If it would have been the second half down 12, I would have been way more concerned. But no, I was a 3. I wasn't a 1 because I've seen crazier things happen. But I was nowhere near a 9. And I saw some of the social media reaction like, what is this team can't do anything? I'm like, relax. It's like 8 minutes. Like, So anyway, then they go on a 40. They take a timeout. They bring in Kimo Ferrari, who we've had on the show a couple of times.
Yes. Shout out Kimo.
He played 20 minutes and they go on a 40-4 run. 40-4.
His plus minus last night must have been really
plus
good.
40. It was over plus 20.
I got to look at it.
It was plus 20 in 20 minutes, I think. Something like that. So you look that up.
All right, let me just look at the stats here.
San Diegan.
Wait,
Vince Parker.
Do they give plus minus?
They do, but maybe not where you're looking.
Probably not.
It was plus 20 at least.
Okay.
Because when he came onto the floor, everything changed. So let's hear from Brian Dutcher first. We'll go in reverse order. Brian, let's hear from Dutch on Chemo Ferrari, who again came off the bench, Francis Parker alum, 4 years in the Ivy League, returned to San Diego, grew up an Aztec fan. And here he is. He hadn't played in a little bit. And here he is coming off the bench in the first half and changing everything. This was Brian Dutcher on Chemo last night.
We weren't happy with how we were playing with the guys out there. And to take them all out, we needed Chemo. We didn't have Heidi and DeMarche. And so Chemo took advantage of the fact that we were shorthanded and we took everybody out. And so he was there to put in. And so we put him in because Chemo's a good player. He practices well every day, but sometimes that doesn't mean you get minutes. But he got minutes today, and maybe that will spur him on to more minutes leading forward.
So again, there was no Miles Heide. He was out with the flu. There was no DeMarche Johnson. Now, these are forwards, but they didn't have a lot of bodies, and they wanted to make a wholesale change. They bring him into the game, and then again, the game flips. Here's the other thing. You don't have the plus minus, right?
I don't have the plus minus, but I was just looking at how many minutes.
Did he play 20?
He played 20 minutes.
2 points.
I was looking at Farrell Compton. He played 17, which I'm sure that was a 15 to 20 minute.
Yeah, he looks fully healthy.
Range, yeah.
He looked good.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing. They've been without Reese Waters all year long. They're only preseason all-conference selection. What's the latest on Reese, who is out of a boot, but what comes next? Here was Brian Dutcher postgame.
I think Reese gets another CT on the 20th. So we'll look at that and see where he's at, and then he'll have a decision to make if he's healthy, if he wants to come back, or if he wants to say, maybe I'll sit this year and come back for another year. I don't know. I haven't had that talk with him yet because he's not healthy enough to have that talk. So we'll have another scan. Obviously he's out of the boot. He's walking in a tennis shoe, and so he's healing, and he's out of the boot and walking on in 2 tennis shoes, which is always fun to see. So we'll see what the future holds for him when we get that next CT scan.
So did you hear that? The date?
20th.
You start doing the math on that. You're not going to go from January 20th to back in a game.
No, you're going to need a ramp up time. And so, yeah, I think if you look at the schedule and how it goes, it's just all about how quickly he can heal. Right.
Well, let's say he's healed though, January 20th, full clearance.
Okay.
Right. The bone has healed. It's fully healed, but now you still need to get yourself in game shape. Let's say you could even do it in 2 weeks. That seems really fast.
Yeah.
That seems really fast, but let's just say it.
Now
So now it's February 4th.
Okay.
Would you come back?
Depends on where the team is at. Like if the team is say they don't lose another game till then, and they're really good,
right?
I would
Then maybe
assume
no.
that Reese is going to be looking at this and potentially want to be a part of something here that could be special. Right? Wouldn't you agree? Or would you think that he's going to be thinking to himself, there's not many games I could really play in, and do I want to burn my final year eligibility, or do I not really care because I think I'm going to go pro next year or attempt to go pro next year?
Right.
So then I'm just going to go out there and do whatever I can the remaining couple games because I don't want to redshirt this year, and I don't want to be back next year because I want to try to go pro.
That's the question. Like it's open-ended. You could almost argue, okay, would he return if they're really, really, really good, or would he return if they need his help?
Yeah.
Like your hypothetical, if they're really, really, really rolling and they're trending right for not just the NCAA tournament, but maybe a decent seed as well. I mean, do you even rock what's going on?
I think at the end of the day, while we can talk about this all stuff, it's going to come down to if he's healthy enough to play, he's probably going to play.
If he's healthy enough to play, I think he'll. Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately there'll be a time where he's healthy enough to play.
Yeah, if he's ready to go, he's probably going to be out there,
even if it's February. February in a sport that ends in March.
And that's why it's so tricky with him, because if he goes out there, he burns his last year of eligibility.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I can't answer. I'm just curious what people think.
I don't know if Reese wants to return next year, if he wants to redshirt. I don't know that. But I would think that if he is fully healthy, ready to go in the middle of February, and say he does decide to redshirt, well, that's going to hurt this year's team because I think Reese Waters could really help them.
I sent you something last night that was on social media. It was on FS1, and Casey Jacobson played at Stanford. He's a good analyst.
Mhm.
And he said during the broadcast that I didn't watch because I was there, but I saw on social media, he said that, again, we understand that it doesn't work like this in college basketball, but if they bring this team back, if these young players return, then San Diego State has the makings of a top 10 team.
Dude, BJ Davis went on a personal 11-0 run last night.
Yeah,
Guy
like
was like
1 minute.
Steph Curry.
He had 3 threes in there.
It was amazing.
So, like, what if you added Reese Waters to that?
Oh, you are a damn good basketball team next year.
But again, can you even assume anything?
No.
I mean, you can't assume
Not
anything.
in the transfer portal era. Like he could, like Reese Waters could absolutely do this. Red shirt and then enter the portal.
Good. Yeah, absolutely. It's his right. You're right.
To make some money next year when he thought all along before the injury that he was going to go pro.
He could do that, or he could turn pro.
Or he could turn pro, yeah.
That's a possibility.
And then you got to think about retaining guys that could
Pharaoh,
absolutely enter the
DJ
transfer
Davis,
portal.
Miles Bird.
Yeah.
Miles Bird could be in the NBA next year.
Yeah. So you're right. If they return all or most of the guys next season, then yeah, they're going to be a damn good basketball team. But like in the NIL era, you just can't assume that ever.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It is fun to kind of think about. I think they're good right now, and I hate to fast forward beyond like this season because we still have so much left in this season. But you fast forward, and if you did keep this team intact, how could you argue that they wouldn't be one of the best teams in the country? They're already a really, really good team with another year of seasoning.
Yeah.
They could absolutely be as one of the best teams in the country.
Again, let's focus on this year and what they're going to do this year. Because this year, they, when healthy, even without Reese Waters, when healthy, they're a really good basketball team.
Yep.
They've already shown it and proven it. They've beaten top teams in the country. They've gone on the road and won at some tough atmospheres already at Boise State. The one hiccup on right now their resume is that Utah State game where they blew a damn near 20-point lead.
Right. But honestly, to like the outsider, Utah State's 15-1.
True, but you also had a 18-point lead?
Yep. And a 7-point lead with 2 minutes.
Yeah. So,
but again, it's like it would be one thing if you did that to Air Force.
Right.
And another thing that you did. I mean, Utah State's, how many times have you dropped that pen?
Probably 5.
Me and you both do it, but you've dropped it a lot.
I just have to have like,
I know.
Isn't it weird?
Fun. Well, we're just sitting here. You need something. Right?
I'm like, I do that when I'm on the phone. When I'm on the phone, I always have to have like a pen so I got doodle. I just like, and what I do is I like write my signature. It's really weird. I doodle a lot.
Do you have a good signature then?
I see it.
No, not really.
Too bad. So the other day I was writing it.
You ready? I'm curious. I bet it doesn't look like Jim Russell. Let's see. That looks awful.
Well, the pen didn't work.
Okay. Really good radio. Oh, that's pretty. He has a good signature, way better than mine.
Now, again, that's not the best one I could do, but
that's good.
It's there.
I'm surprised you know how to write. I'm kidding.
There you go on the YouTube.
If I signed my name 50 times, 40 of them would be different.
I can do similar. Right?
Yeah, I'm the same.
Because I know, other than like checks, which who the hell uses them anymore besides my parents, I don't sign anything anymore.
Good point. All right, we have the very latest on the Luis Arise trade market. The latest on the Luis Arise trade market next on Jon and Jim. All right, we've got the first Brian Dutcher show of the year tonight, 6 p.m. I'll sit down with head coach of the Aztecs. We'll talk about last night's win. We'll look ahead to Saturday morning against New Mexico, 10 a.m. Pacific. Brian Dutcher show tonight at 6 on your home of the Aztecs. San Diego Sports 7-6. So Andy Martino, SNY, really good baseball reporter. He was a little skeptical of the fit as well of Luis Arraez to the Yankees. Like, oh, that's interesting. He's not the first to say that, but he theorized that it could be a possibility for the New York Mets, especially if the Mets do not keep or hold on to Pete Alonso, that he could serve as like a backup option. Now, they're completely different players, understandably, but they would need infield help in the absence of Pete Alonso. We know that the Padres haven't said no to those that have at least expressed interest in both Luis Arraez and Dylan Cease. But again, Andy Martino, SNY, saying that while he might not see the fit between Arraez and the Yankees, he does acknowledge that there is a possible fit with the New York Mets.
All right, you got to trade 2 of the 3.
Okay. It's like Panera Bread or whatever. You pick 2?
Sure.
Sponsor this, Panera.
Arraez, Suarez, Dylan Cease. Trade 2.
Trade 2? I don't want to trade 2. I'm only trading 1.
You're AJ Preller. You have to trade 2.
2?
Yeah.
Arraez, Suarez. That's easy.
Yeah, it's Suarez and Arraez.
Yeah, you have to keep Cease.
But you get the most for Dylan Cease though if you trade him.
Right.
So in that case, of the 3, who can you get the most back for from 2 players? I think the most you could get back for from 2 players would be probably Suarez and Cease.
Yeah, definitely Cease would be number 1.
I don't think you're going to get much for Arraez at a major league level. Like you'll get prospects back, but you're not going to get anything.
1 year of control.
Yeah, you're not going to get somebody that is going to be ready to go right now.
Yeah, 1 year of control, and he's making good money now. Now he's making $14 million.
Cease, you could get 2 prospects that are major league ready right now, potentially.
Do you think they're going to trade away 2 of those 3?
If you did, then you better sign Michael King to a long-term contract. That better be like, hey, we're signing Michael King to a long-term contract, but we're offloading these players and we're bringing back some prospects that are major league ready.
Right.
You can't do that without having something ready to go, like re-signing Jerkson Profar or signing Michael King to a long-term contract.
So you're looking for like the Mike Clevenger tweet? Hey, we've signed Mike Clevenger to a 2-year deal. He's out for 2 years. As in, hey, we've traded away Dylan Cease. Oh, we've signed Michael King to an extension. I'm kidding on the tweet, but happening all in one fell swoop. This plays out over 1 week. They trade Dylan Cease, they extend Michael King, and they sign Jerkson Profar. Is that a good week for the Padres? They trade Dylan Cease, they extend Michael King, and they re-sign Jerkson Profar. It's probably a good week.
I think that's a good week.
Yeah, because they're probably getting a good amount back.
I think in their situation and the parameters that Preller's, been told, I think that's a good week because you would have to bet that wherever you trade Dylan Cease to, you're going to get at least 1 top prospect that is like major league ready. Preller's not going to, I don't think, trade Dylan Cease for guys that are 2, 3, 4 years away. Like all the players.
Yeah,
right?
I agree. Of course.
He's going to try to get something that he can plug and play immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Can you get a pitching prospect that's major league ready? Can you get a position player, preferably in the outfield, or catching prospect that's ready to go? Like, what can you get back for Dylan Cease that is major league ready? You're not going to get proven major league talent, but you can get some top prospects that are ready to go.
Yeah, I wonder what's more likely between Arraez and Cease to move. Like, again, Cease offers the better return, but, man, there's been a lot of discussion about Arraez this offseason. I think there's been more talk about Luis Arraez than there has been Dylan Cease. They both make the same amount of money as of today, $14 million.
Well, Dylan Cease makes 13.7.
13.75.
13.75.
I mean, there's $250,000 difference. It's not going to be the reason why one stays or one goes.
Hey, I'm sure they're looking at $250,000 as like a big savings right there.
But I'm just saying that there's been, I think, more trade discussion around Arraez than there has been Cease. Maybe because the Padres recognize, no pun intended, that how can you trade away Dylan Cease right now with the situation you have with your rotation?
Mhm.
You don't land Roki Sasaki. How could you trade Dylan Cease?
That's why I it's just a hunch that whenever Roki makes his decision,
Mm-hmm.
soon to follow will be a flurry of moves from the Padres. There has to be, right?
There has to be. You're right. There has to be.
Like
There
has to be
is
something.
there is a clock ticking. The season will start and spring training will begin. It's not going to be March and they're looking for outfielders and catchers, right? No, you're right. I think there'll be a flurry of activity around late January involving the San Diego Padres.
There better be.
And if not, we'll still be here talking about it. But it is interesting. I think Martino reported today that there haven't been substantive talks between the Mets and the Padres, but that doesn't mean they haven't spoken. And again, you already know that the Yankees may have interest, even if it's being shot down.
Well, I'm sure Preller's the one like, hey, what's your guys' interest level on Luis Ariz?
Right.
Just like
That's
with the
probably
Yankees
true.
situation, I would bet you that it was Preller who reached out to the Yankees and not vice versa. Like,
Probably.
and then he put that out there of like, well, hey, the Yankees have interest. We talked. And
Yeah.
the Yankees are like, well, I don't know about that.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, this is going to be a fascinating. I think there will be a week in there where they're actually really busy. I just don't know what week that'll be. I think it'll be the last week of January, by and large, somewhere in there. It's going to be really active for them.
What do you think FanFest is going to look like?
Interestingly, in that press release they sent out today, there are tickets still available. That wasn't the case the last 2 years.
No. Yeah, I'm at this point in time, I'm like,
It'll be packed. It's a free event.
And then the players will speak to the media and it will be a nothing burger. And I'm sure the questions will be asked about the ownership. And then you'll get a bunch of nothing.
Right.
I don't know if Preller is going to speak or if he's going to even be there. Mike Schilt obviously will be there. We'll know what happens with Roki. I mean, if Roki does pick San Diego, I think you can get a massive spike from the fan base.
Oh, the thing will be sold out.
Even with the lawsuit and what's going on with the ownership between the Seiler brothers and Shield, landing Roki in the short term would take everybody's eyes off of the dysfunction in that family.
Completely. And what matters more to most fans is what happens on field.
Right.
What
you
happens
win 97
off-field,
games next year in a World Series. No one cares.
What happens off field is drama. What happens on field is win-loss is real to most fans. Yeah, you land Roki Sasaki. I mean, this fan base will be incredibly excited heading into 2025. And everyone's going to forget about everything going on with the ownership dynamic.
C20 Moreno on YouTube asks, do you think Matt, Bob, and John are going to be at FanFest?
Maybe. They'll probably have a thing that says, like, put the placard in front of who you think it is.
Because we
think
never
this is Bob.
I like that's a great thing. I don't know what these guys look like. I know what Matt looks like because I've searched him out. I know what Robert looks like. But John, I've never heard of John before.
I know, until this week. All right, much more on, again, this Padres slow offseason. Chris Hodge taking Vegas will join us at 4 p.m. Is this the best stretch of football we've ever had beginning tonight? We'll lay it out for you. What's ahead? Stay with us on Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. We'll start with the Aztecs. They blew out Air Force last night. Next up, they take on New Mexico Saturday morning, 10 a.m. tip time. You can listen to that right here on San Diego Sports 760. Reminder, tonight, 6 p.m. is the Brian Dutcher Coaches Show with John and Coach Dutch. Listen right here on San Diego Sports. College football semifinals get underway tonight as Penn State takes on Notre Dame. And Padres news of the day, they come to agreement on arbitration with a few players: Dylan Cease, Luis Ariz, Jason Adam, Luis Campusano. One player they have not come to terms with is Michael King. That could go to an arbitration case. It would be the first time in the Preller era. The fully electric EQS sedan from Mercedes-Benz is innovation on a magnificent scale, available with the epic 56-inch touch-sensitive Hyperscreen. The vehicle is all electric. The feeling is all Mercedes. Learn more at mbusa.com/EQS.
All right, so Jim's been talking about tonight the first of two semifinals, Penn State, Notre Dame, then tomorrow again, the Ohio State, Texas. So this begins a run. Tonight's Penn State, Notre Dame. Tomorrow's Texas, Ohio State. Saturday, Chargers, Texans.
Right here on San Diego Sports 760.
AFC wildcard, 1:30 p.m. 5 p.m. Ravens, Steelers, Saturday night. And Sunday, you have a wildcard triple header in the NFL. Broncos, Bills, Packers, Eagles, Commanders, Bucks. And then Monday night right here on San Diego Sports 760 at 5 p.m., Rams, Vikings, hopefully from SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. That is a lot of really good football over the next 5 days between the NFL and college. It's kind of unprecedented because they didn't really do it like this until this year with the college football semifinals. Did they? No,
because
they were on one day.
Yeah, and this past Monday would have been the national championship, right?
This next, because the semifinals would have been New Year's Day.
Oh, yeah.
So then they had about 10 days. And then they played January 10th or 11th or 12th. Because they would never do it in NFL weekend. Because they wouldn't go up against NFL.
I meant, this past Monday, there was no Monday Night Football, right?
This past Monday was January 6th.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah. So it's always like the next Monday.
Okay. Well, this 5-day stretch is like
the greatest thing that ever
happened.
One
of the, if not the greatest football sporting 5-day stretch maybe ever. Like, seriously.
It's pretty good.
Every single game matters. Every game.
Win or go home. All of them.
All of them elimination games. And it's like how many games total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 game sevens.
8 game sevens in the NFL and college football
in the next 5 days.
Yeah, it's true. Remember how you did a you pick 2?
Yeah, which 2 are you watching? I feel like I know which
No,
one.
I was gonna go the other way. Which 2 you can never watch or ever find out the result of for like 2 days?
Oh, Chargers, Texans.
So you don't, whatever.
Commanders, Bucks.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely going NFL there because it's wild card round. I have to watch the college games. I would agree with you on Texans, Chargers. I just don't find it sexy personally.
Mm-hmm.
And then I agree. Commanders, Bucks. I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
Those would be the 2 if I couldn't watch a game.
Now pick 2 that you have to watch.
I would pick the 2 college games. But you know me.
Yeah.
If I had to watch an NFL game, had to watch an NFL game.
You have to pick one NFL and one college.
My one NFL, I like that. I kind of like Ravens Steelers because I'm all in on Lamar Jackson. He's got to win in the postseason. I kind of need to see Lamar Jackson be good in the postseason. I'm all in on Ravens Steelers. And if I have to watch a college, I'm going to watch Penn State, Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think I would choose Ohio State, Texas.
Really? Even with Ohio State playing like this, it's not a foregone conclusion?
Well, if they're going to face a team that matches up with them right now, like Texas is pretty damn good, right? Really good. I know Oregon was undefeated. I'll pick Ohio State, Texas.
Okay.
And then I'll pick Green Bay and Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's a good game. Should be a really good game.
Yeah. So those are my 2. But the next 5 days are incredible, starting with tonight. And what I love too, I say this in the 2-minute drill or the 1.5-minute drill.
Right.
Is that it's all spread out. Like, it's not bunched together where things are like overlapping.
Right.
tonight, standalone semifinal game. Tomorrow, standalone semifinal game. And then all standalone games in the NFL. Nothing overlaps, which is beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to think. We just talked about something recently that had overlap, and we're like, why is there all this overlap?
What was it?
I don't know. I feel like there's something else. I don't know.
It always
I really
happens when they do like double headers on Monday Night Football.
Oh, that's what it was. They're doing 2 Monday Night Football games, but at the same time.
Yeah, I hate that.
Say, hold on, we only get so much NFL. Why are we putting the games on at the same time?
I hate it.
Monday night's supposed to be the standalone event. I don't even love. I mean, I kind of do like the NCAA tournament going on at the same time, but I also like to watch it. It's like you got 4 games going on at the same time on Thursday.
That's what makes it like
I know
beautiful. Is
I
the
know.
chaos?
It's such chaos.
The live look-ins. This game's coming down the wire, and you turn over to that game,
Right,
and you don't
right.
have to worry because the game that you're watching is like in the first half. That's the beauty of the college basketball
tournament. Yeah.
And the great part about this is no game overlap. If I'm mistaken, tell me. I don't think so. I think every game has a standalone.
Well, NFL will never overlap a playoff
Never,
game.
no, which is good.
And college football, to its credit, hasn't had an overlap. Now, what college football might want to do moving forward is remember the opening round playoff games? They went up against the NFL. Yeah, they may want to move that. You might want to play opening round college football games on like a Friday.
Yeah.
As opposed to that Saturday. They went up against like a Chiefs-Steelers game.
Yeah, that was the when I was on a plane.
Yeah, I'm like, why are the Chiefs and the Steelers playing during a college football
No,
playoff game?
it was Steelers Ravens.
But yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But the Chiefs also played that day, maybe the Texans.
They did.
Or was that Christmas Day?
No, it was Christmas Day. What happened that day?
But the point is there were 2 NFL games that day against the opening round of the college football playoff, which I don't think made a lot of sense.
Again, if you're going to have overlap because you have to, there's no other way around it.
Right.
I'd rather it
different
be
leagues,
like the first round than a semifinal matchup.
I never have liked what they've done recently in the NBA playoffs. They're like, we're going to do so much work to not create overlap that the Warriors will play Sunday, Thursday, Sunday in like the opening round of the playoffs. Like, can't we just play? Do we really need 3 days off between games?
Yeah, that's
so
all.
I can watch Grizzlies Thunder.
It's the hard part with the NBA and NHL
So many
and
games.
baseball is that they're all 7-game series. Football,
Right.
it's, you play one game.
Right.
It's an elimination game.
By the way, this weekend's amazing. There's 5 games, but truthfully, the next week is pretty good too, because you still have the full slate of NFL games after Wild Card Weekend, and
Division
you have the
round.
College Football National Championship.
Yeah. So the College Football National Championship's on Monday.
Which Monday?
2
The
Mondays from now.
21st or what? Yeah.
So that would be championship weekend, not wild card week, not division weekend.
Well, you're coming out of division weekend.
Hold on.
But what weekend is it right now?
We are the 9th.
So this weekend's Wild Card Weekend, right? 11th and 12th, which means next weekend is divisional weekend, 18th, 19th, and then the college football playoff the next day.
You're right.
And
Okay.
then you're a few days away, whatever.
So we got division games on the 18th, 19th, and 20th.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's a good month.
It's a pretty good month.
It's a really good month.
It's a great month. January, it's like sometimes it's just all NFL, right? Now college football has joined the conversation.
So the college season's gotten long, and there are some that are like, man, I can't believe these teams are going to play 16 or 17 games. But now with the revenue sharing and NIL,
Yeah.
you're kind of being paid to perform. Not kind of, you're being paid to perform. It's a lot like listen, high school football in like Texas, even in California, you win state championships, you play a million games. So I don't see why it's that big of a deal at the FBS level.
And by the way, so the college football national championship is on the 20th.
We think.
If that were the case, it's on a holiday. It's on a national holiday. It's on
OBM, okay?
Yeah,
So maybe it's
Martin Luther King Day.
Right. Let's see. It is on. It's on a day.
It's on one
I have
day.
no idea what day it is.
They might still play it though. NBA plays on.
No,
MLK.
yeah, I know,
Right.
but I'm
It's
just saying-
MLK Day, January 20th.
Wow. All
Yeah,
right.
it is.
That'll be the next day that other sports infringe on the NBA. They're like, "Oh, you guys had Christmas. Well, now we're taking MLK Day from you too."
Yeah, I mean, that works well Monday, because without the NFL postseason going on Monday, it's kind of perfect. All right. So anyway, the point is a lot of football beginning tonight. And then again, this weekend, you can listen right here on San Diego Sports 760, Chargers, Texans Saturday. And then Monday, Rams, Vikings.
I'm surprised that people think, like we had Will Brinson on earlier this week, he thinks that both the Vikings and the Eagles are going to get upset.
He thinks
Eventually.
both the Vikings and the Eagles are going to get upset eventually.
So that means he it's like,
Well, what's the upset if they're eventually upset? Well, the Vikings are a favorite on the road in LA.
Mhm.
So that's an upset if they lose.
You think the Packers could beat the Eagles this weekend?
They're only 3-point underdogs. Maybe it's 3.5.
I'm surprised by that. Maybe
Yeah.
it's because of Jalen Hurts and how he's
He hasn't played in a month.
concussion protocol.
Right.
But they don't need Jalen to do a lot. Just give the ball to Saquon. And their defense has been really good.
Yeah, it has.
And the Packers are missing Jair Alexander and Christian Watson out for the playoffs.
And Love did have this funny bone thing.
Yeah, I
last
think
week.
that's a bunch of
it's no big
nothing.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what would be more surprising to you, the Rams winning at home or the Packers winning on the road?
Packers easily.
Yeah, me too.
Because they haven't beaten a team that is good this year.
That's what Brunt says about the Vikings.
Yeah, they've beaten more teams than the Vikings.
We'll find out.
We'll see.
That's the beauty of this.
I know.
It's determined on field, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. It'll start tonight. Penn State, Notre Dame in the college football playoff. Chris Hodge has more on that coming up at 4 p.m.
But along Jim's thinking, though, put it this way: they had the same divisional record this year as the Bears. Green Bay did.
Which is what, 3 and 3?
1-5.
Oof.
Ooh. What they do in the other games? I guess they're better out of division than the Bears.
So they were 10-1.
Is that what they were? No, 9 and
They finished 11-6, right?
Did they really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that is interesting. All right, Chris Hodge's free picks for us coming up at 4 p.m. Guess what? On the other side, we're giving away Aztec basketball tickets for Tuesday night against Colorado State. Don't go anywhere. It's Jon and Jim. All right, we're going to give away Aztec basketball tickets for Tuesday night against Colorado State. Good rivalry over the years. Coming up in mere moments, so do not go anywhere. In just a few minutes, trust me, we'll give away Aztec tickets for Tuesday night. Now, did you realize this?
No.
Did you realize that you like food?
Yeah, I do like
food,
I'm
right?
making a bomb dinner tonight.
What are you going to
I'm making
make? Thanks for the invite.
no artichokes.
You love artichokes, dude. Brett left the room, and he says you always talk about artichokes.
I was talking about artichokes yesterday. Darn it, if you're listening, I expect a text message here soon about artichokes again. Well, our friends are in town. Make some artichokes. So I cooked the artichokes this morning. I then put them in marinade of A1 steak sauce, Worcestershire sauce, soy sauce, lemon juice, pepper, olive oil, and a bunch of garlic. So they're now marinating in the fridge. When I get home, I got a rack of lamb that I'm going to slice up, season, rosemary, salt, pepper, butter, garlic, and then I'm baking honey cornbread tonight. We have some fresh honey.
What is fresh honey as opposed to unfresh? You have bees in the backyard. You have fresh
No,
yeah, you
some
have
honey.
No.
Spencer. No, we picked up some honey.
Okay, anyway, fresh out of that bottle. Right. That's what I have. That's what I have.
Right. No, yeah.
Okay, that's not what I was going to ask you. Do you know?
Okay,
If you're
okay.
cooking dinner for yourself, because you should know that.
Okay.
Did you know that?
Well, no one heard it on YouTube because the audio was crap.
No, because we're muted. Oh, now we're unmuted. All right. But Ron at iHeart is working on it.
Oh, yeah.
And he's going to be back here at 4:00.
Okay.
This thing gets fixed by 6.
Okay.
Trust Ron. In Ron, we trust. Anyway, SDFC starts training camp Monday. SDFC starts training camp Monday. Now, is this at the all-new center? Is that already done?
Yeah.
That's done?
Bro, it's
They
done.
built that thing quick.
They built it very quick.
What, 1 year? I think it was 1 year.
Yeah.
Like from
Maybe less. I don't know.
something like that. So that's done. Anyway, they start training on Monday. We're going to be joined either by the head coach, Mikey Veras, who we've had on before, or Tyler Heaps, I believe tomorrow, because we're days away. I mean, their season starts in Los Angeles, February 23rd, and then they're here March 1st, but they start training January 13th. Does that mean Chucky is here?
Chucky's here, bro.
He's here?
Yeah.
Like right now, getting ready?
Like getting ready.
Like getting the house in order. And I mean, that's crazy. Like the weekend before you start training, like
Dude,
meet all your teammates.
The MLS season is like the longest
day
season
away.
in professional sports.
Very long. You're right. You're
From
right.
February to October.
Right.
It's like golf. They take 2 weeks off and then they're back.
No, the whole offseason. You're right. I mean,
Yeah.
the offseason, he's right. I mean, the offseason is really short. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. It's kind of snuck up on us a little bit that they will start training on Monday. And then they're going to be playing some exhibitions, I think, in just a couple of weeks. And then they'll be playing for real in just a couple of weeks. So if you're a soccer fan, if you're ready for San Diego FC,
Ready for a lot of soccer.
I kind of want to go see this performance center.
I do too, because this was, hyped up as the big thing for this club, which is the Right to Dream
Yeah.
Academy.
Right.
And this thing, I don't know how many millions of dollars it costs or hundreds of $1,000s it costs, but
It certainly has to be millions.
it's state of the art for sure. And this is like the centerpiece and the heartbeat of this new club, which is going to have players that are young come through there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's like a minor league system getting ready for the major leagues.
Right. Just looked it up, by the way. They started construction on this November 10th of 2023. That's quick. That 14 months is some 125,000 foot training facility or square foot training facility. Major League Soccer coming to San Diego for the first time in 2025. And looking forward to it. Really am. So we'll have either the head coach or the sporting director join us, I believe, tomorrow right here on Jon Jim. So looking forward to that. Again, we do have Chris Hodge from Taking Vegas. He's got some free picks for us coming up at 4 p.m., which is not normally the time he would join us. But again, with this college football playoff getting underway today at 4:30, You know what's interesting in this game as they're getting ready and they're showing both teams on field in Miami?
What's
Is that
interesting?
all week long, Notre Dame was favored to win this game by a comfortable margin of 2 or 3 points. ESPN just flashed the spread up. Penn State's now favored, -1. Now, Notre Dame is dealing with flu-like symptoms for a lot of their players, reportedly. They're also on short rest, remember, because of what played out last week in
Right.
New Orleans.
Yeah.
So they are on short rest. Penn State had 2 additional days. This game is in Miami, Florida, and the line has shifted from Notre Dame -2.5 as recently as yesterday to Penn State -1.
Do you know what I'm happy to see?
What?
That America will be spared from the most boring road uniforms in the history of sports. The all white on white on white on white Penn State road uniforms.
So Penn State's in blue tops and Notre Dame's
They have
in
to be
white.
because Notre Dame's in
Yeah,
white.
yeah.
So
Okay. Well, then
I
Brett
like
will
your home.
watch.
I like your home unis, John, but the road ones are awful.
Okay.
I
They are. They're boring.
I mean,
Yeah. I mean, whatever. These are the Notre
They're
Dame
classic.
uniform is kind of classic with the gold
they're
helmet.
classic uniforms.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good uniform
It
matchup
is.
tonight.
I think so.
It's a good uniform
Yeah.
matchup tomorrow as well. I don't know what Ohio State's going to wear, but usually Texas is the higher seed, so they'll wear they will wear their orange tops and white
Burnt
pants.
orange is legit.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then Ohio State probably white and
White and white.
gray.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
They wear white and gray.
I
yeah.
like gray.
Anyway,
I
I just
remember my
found it
first day in
interesting.
the Big Ten.
I just found it interesting that this line has moved 3.5 points, which is what it has moved
Yeah,
over the last. Here's the thing.
wow.
Both of these coaches and both of these programs are known for not winning big games.
Right.
Like when you
One
sum
of them
up,
F's up.
now they're both known for being really good. I mean, Notre Dame's won a lot of games. Penn State under James Franklin has won a lot of games. But what they're known for, Notre Dame has played in semifinals, and they've played even in BCS national championships, and they get the doors blown off them. Penn State's always been close but no cigar. They're like 5th in the college football playoff era, but there's 4 teams in the playoff. Or they lose to Ohio State and Michigan and beat everyone else. Well, now one of these 2 teams is winning.
Yeah.
So, like, if Notre Dame is choke artists, they have a chance to prove they're not. If Penn State is full of choke artists, they have a chance to prove that they're not here tonight.
I think Ohio State has the capability of being that one team that just blows everybody out.
Yeah.
But they also have the capability of, not doing that and having it be close games. So I don't think this is going to be a blowout.
No, I'd be shocked.
I think this is going to be a close game. I think the Ohio State-Texas game could end up being a double-digit score game for Ohio State, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's not. I think Texas is a really good football team. But yeah, you get to a national championship like versus Ohio State and one of these 2 teams, that could be tough.
It feels like Ohio State is peaking because they met
they are,
Penn
right.
State earlier this year, and it was a 7-point game.
Right.
But it feels like Ohio State's a different team than the one that won by 7 against Penn State earlier this year. All right, Chris Hodge joins us next, but we promised you Aztec basketball tickets for Tuesday night. And if you're caller 7, you're going San Diego State, Colorado State, Tuesday at 8 p.m. Tickets available at goaztecs.com. If you want to go, call right now. Caller 7 is going 877-767-4760. That's 877-767-4760. Call right now. Caller 7. You're going to see San Diego State and Colorado State. This is Tuesday night at Viejas Arena. A busy week for the Aztecs. Played last night. They'll play Saturday. They'll play Tuesday. 877-767-4760. Tickets at goaztecs.com. Another big week for Chris Hodge when he joined us before the new year. And I want to say he's 10-2 on the text line his last 12 times he joined us. So Chris Hodge will join us. We'll make picks on the college football playoff that gets underway in about 45 minutes or so from Miami. We'll kick off hour 3 of Jon and Jim, and we'll do that next.
This update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. San Diego State blew out Air Force last night. Next up, they take on New Mexico Saturday morning, 10 a.m. tip time. You can list that right here on San Diego Sports 760. Tonight is the Brian Dutcher Coaches Show starting at 6 p.m. College football semifinals, moments from kickoff between Notre Dame and Penn State. 4:30 is official kickoff time there. Padres news of the day. They've come to agreement on one-year deals with Luis Ariz, Dylan Cease, Jason Adam, Adrian Morahone, and Luis Campusano. The one person they did not come to agreement with is Michael King. That could go to arbitration. The fully electric EQS sedan from Mercedes-Benz is innovation on a magnificent scale, available with the epic 56-inch touch-sensitive hyperscreen. The vehicle is all electric. The feeling is all Mercedes. Learn more at mbusa.com/EQS.
Getting you all set for that drive home. Let's just start the show. Here's Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour 3, Jon and Jim getting you ready for a packed football weekend that starts tonight with the college football playoff semifinal, the first of two, Penn State and Notre Dame. And it's great to once again be joined by Chris Hodge, taking Vegas back with us on Jon and Jim. A happy new year to Chris. He's been with us all season long. He's been with us for years and years and years. And he's absolutely red hot because with the text plays, I want to say, Chris, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're on a 10-2 run with the text plays. But then we also had you on for the opening round, I want to say, of the college football playoff, and you went 4 for 4 with us for our listeners. So you've been red hot over the last handful of weeks, and you're back with us. But Happy New Year, and thanks for hopping on, man.
Happy New Year, man. The 4-0 was in the quarterfinals.
So, Thank you.
Yeah, right before the New Year. So happy to do that. Yes, on a Monday and Thursday combined, because there's been some shows mainly come on Thursday, but there's been a couple I've done Monday. Over the last 12, we're 10-2. So I hope you guys are making money. If you want the game tonight between Notre Dame and Penn State, which, by the way, I just learned you're an alum of, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, I am, yes.
You're a big fan tonight, right?
Yep.
Okay, so if you text the word win to the number 545454, I'm not going to hype. I'm not going to do any of that nonsense today. We've been red hot. We like Notre Dame, Penn State. You get the game free. Just text the word win to the number 545454.
All right, so Notre Dame, Penn State tonight. Text win to 545454. The other semifinal matchup, Chris, tomorrow, Ohio State and Texas. What do you got in that one?
You know, this is a tough game. And we're going to go with Ohio State, so I'll just get right to it. No suspense there. And they are laying 6, and I do think they're going to win, obviously. That's why we give the pick out. But very tough game because, you know, if you look at Texas, right, and everyone knows at this point in the season, everyone knows everything about these teams, right? You know, the offensive line, skill players. So you don't need me to come on and go over that stuff. But if you look at what they did against Arizona State, now, look, Arizona State is not a good football team, okay? They got there. But they're not an upper echelon team, and they're a play away from eliminating that team. Now, that's the bad. The good for Texas is they played all these games this season, and the only team they've lost to is Georgia. Mm-hmm. And that means something to me. Now, if you look at Ohio State, you know, what are they? 42 points against Tennessee, 41 points against Oregon. And by the way, that Rose Bowl, I mean, 41-21, that score didn't even do that game justice.
Yeah.
Because that game could have been 63-3. That's how badly they beat Oregon in that game. So I just think right now, this moment, Ohio State is playing better football than Texas. And I think they have more playmakers with Howard. You know, obviously Henderson, the 2 receivers who are phenomenal. And I just think Texas is going to have a hard time slowing them down. And the Texas offense, for whatever the reason, because they have talent, but for whatever the reason, they go through these spells. And it's not just like 2 or 3 drives. It's quarters where they don't move the ball. And if you do that against Ohio State, you're going to be in trouble. So I think Ohio State wins the game by 14, so we'll lay the 6 with them. I think it's going to be a good game, but the better team, Ohio State, pulls away as it goes along.
Yeah, I think most people agree, and I think most people would be surprised if Ohio State did not win the college football playoff or national championship at this point. Again, if you want tonight, they're about 40 minutes away from kickoff. Penn State, Notre Dame, you can get it for free. All you have to do is text WIN to 545454. And Chris, in his last 12 weeks on the show, on the text line, free picks on the show the past 12 weeks, he's 19-8. 19-8. You can win a lot of money going 19-8. Again, if you want Penn State Notre Dame, text text win to 545454. All right, Saturday, you can hear it right here on San Diego Sports 760. The NFL playoffs, Chargers and Texans in the wild card round. Who do you like here and why?
Fascinating game. You know, you have a team with 11 wins. You have a team with 10 wins. And if you look at their wins, the only team that the Chargers beat that made the playoffs this year was Denver. They didn't win another game against a playoff team. If you look at the Texans, the only team they beat that made the playoffs were the Bills, and they didn't beat another playoff team. So it's two teams that won the games against weaker opponents, and now they're playing each other. So a couple of things about this game. You know, sometimes you have to, remember history. And history last year is the Texans were in this game at home with the same record. They played the Cleveland Browns last year. And the Cleveland Browns were the exact same number favored that the Chargers are. And Houston blew them out. Right? So sometimes you have to look at that and you have to go back and say, okay, Houston wasn't really playing great football. Why did that game happen? So we go back and watch that. So I was leaning towards using the Texans. But then as you study throughout the week, this is the one thing I cannot get off of. The Houston Texans this year were the second worst team against the blitz in all of football. The only team that was worse than them had a rookie quarterback who did not understand protections, and that was the Chicago Bears. The Chargers blitzed the most of any team in football, and they had the second most success per blitz of any team in football. They sacked the quarterback a lot, and I really think that's going to be a problem, not just on the offensive line. If you look at the Texans with those two wide receivers out, now you got guys that might not get into their routes as fast or side adjust as fast. So we really broke this game down from every angle, as I hope I just explained eloquently. And we're going to go with the Chargers. We're going to lay the 3. We think they're a better football team. We think their defense is going to really create problems for the Houston offense. I think it's going to be close. And I think the Texans are going to come out with some emotion, being home in the playoffs. That's always tough to get through. Chargers weather the storm in the first quarter, and then as the game goes along, they pull away. And I think it's a hard-fought 7-point win, 24-17. Sounds pretty good. So I think we're going to go with the Chargers there.
Chris, we were talking about this earlier in the show. Like the next 5 days, it's football heaven. With the college football expansion, expanded playoffs, you got the 2 semifinals games tonight, tomorrow, then 3 straight days of NFL playoffs. But for you and what you do, I mean, yeah, this has to be one of the best times of the year, but the stress factor, because of how important these games are, where is that with you right now?
The stress factor, I believe I mentioned this on your show a few weeks ago. The most stress I always feel is right around the holidays. Mm-hmm. Going into Christmas, you really want to win for people at that time. You always want to win, but you really want to win for people at that time because they need the extra money. Right now, this to me, not to sound arrogant, this is the simple time for me because we know everything about these teams. Yeah. There's no transfer portal right now where, guys are doing this. These are the big games, right? You're not breaking down the Sun Bowl where half the kids are out, right? Yeah. You know who's playing and who's not. You're not dealing with JUCO transfers. You're not dealing with incoming freshmen. Like, everything about these two teams or all of these teams that are playing this weekend. So to me, that kind of makes it easier, right? It's hard in September. This is kind of easy for us. This is the time of the year we've always done well. And, I'm not going to lie. I got off to a little bit of a slow start on your show in September. We were like 50-50. And then as you saw, as the year went along, last 12 weeks, 19-8 were free picks that I've given out on the show, 10-2 on the text message. There's a reason for that because we figure it out, we see what happens, and we just get better and better. So hopefully that leads into this weekend, and I think we got some good plays for everyone out there.
So, again, tonight is just huge. Obviously, the college football semifinal, Penn State, Notre Dame. It's going to kick off in about 35 minutes. You can get it for free by texting the word WIN, W-I-N, to 545454. That's WIN to 545454. And then Chris is going to hop back on Monday before that Monday Night Football game between the Vikings and the Rams. So you're going to be back with us on Monday. That game you can also hear on San Diego Sports 760. Now we'll see where that game is played, Chris. Maybe that's a factor in the ultimate determination on that game.
Absolutely. And I know you guys in San Diego, I know that the radio signal does go up into, I think, South LA. And, definitely want to, I don't know if anyone's listening, but, anyone affected by that terrible storm that's going on, it's terrible, fire that's going on. Really, really feel bad. Hope everyone's okay to the best of their ability. And, we'll come on Monday, but you'll realize that, we love watching football, but in the grand scheme of this thing, it's not the most important thing. So hope everyone is okay, and hope to continue to win money. But most importantly, want to make sure everyone's all right.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, we've been talking about it, obviously, this week here in Southern California. Chris Hodge taking Vegas again tonight. You can get it for free. Penn State, Notre Dame. Text WIN to 545454. Chris, be well. We'll catch up Monday, all right?
All right, have a great weekend, guys. Thank you so much.
Great stuff. Chris Hodge from Taking Vegas. We'll get to the wrap coming up shortly. Again, the Brian Dutcher Show at 6 p.m. Yeah, it is a stressful time of year. It is an enjoyable time of year, but if your team is playing, or again, if you like to, play, obviously have a side in one of these games, it's but if your team is playing, it's a really stressful time of year. The Niners.
Yeah, I was thinking
when they're playing in the postseason, it's stressful.
Yeah, I'm thinking of it from a fan's perspective. He's right. His breaking down of these games, he doesn't have to worry about the transfer portal in the college football playoffs. He doesn't have to worry about that. And then in the NFL, you got 17 weeks of data to use at your disposal. So, great breakdowns by Chris as always. And, make sure that if, you play, hopefully you win some money.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw James said in the chat, is there an update on Jerks and Profar's free agent market? I don't know if there is or not. I saw James said that maybe he had been offered. I think there's something today from John Morosi talking about the free agent market. Maybe we can share that with our listeners coming up later in the show, because we're here until 6 p.m. So I'll find that sound. I think I found it. And we can listen to that. I mean, that's intriguing because it's like a perfect match if they have the money. We've already seen the match.
If they have the money, yeah.
Yeah, we've already seen the match. I mean, he works in San Diego. It works really well in San Diego. It's just, again, can they afford Jerks and Profar? What is the market? I mean, is he going to get 1 year and a good amount of money? Is he going to get 3 years and a lot more money? I don't know. I mean, this seems like it plays out a lot with Profar. He just waits and waits and waits, and then the market isn't there.
And if he doesn't get a long-term deal this offseason, he's never going to get one.
True. Never.
I mean, I'd be shocked if he backs up last year with an even better season. Not saying he can't do it, but it's a pretty damn good season he had last year. Starting all-star left fielder. He had an 800-plus OPS, career high in home runs, career highs across the board. He's got to cash in.
Yeah, I agree. If you don't do it now, you never will. I completely agree with that. Yeah, we'll hear from John Morosi. There is an update on Profar's market, so we'll share that with you coming up at 4:30. Now, on the other side, we'll get to the wrap. We do have a chance to win Aztec tickets later this hour around 4:45 with Trainwreck Radio. So there's a lot to get to this hour. We are here until 6, and then the Brian Dutcher Show will kick off for the first time here in 2025. We'll catch up with the head coach at San Diego State men's basketball as they get ready for New Mexico on Saturday morning. Don't go anywhere. It's Jon and Jim. AM radio keeps vital voices accessible. Congress can secure its future, but we need your help. Text AM to 52886 now to support keeping AM radio in cars. Bless you. Tell your member if you didn't have AM radio in cars, you wouldn't hear Jim sneeze off mic. Tell your member of Congress you need to hear Jim sneeze off mic to pass legislation now and keep AM radio in cars. Standard message and data rates apply. So do that. We have Aztec basketball tickets to give away. We'll do that coming up later this hour. We'll hear from John Morosi on the Jurickson Pro Farm market. Now, he also shares the Carlos Estevez market, but it's on Carlos Estevez and Jurickson Pro Farm. So we'll hear that coming up at 4:30, and we're here until 6. Then we have the Brian Dutcher Show coming up at 6 p.m. So Brian Dutcher will be with us. It's a bit of a busy time with 2 games over like 3 days. So he'll be with us for a portion of the hour, but we're with you until 7 p.m. on the Brian Dutcher Show coming up at 6 p.m. We typically get to the wrap at 4. We're going to get to it right now.
It's time for The Wrap, presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Who wins tonight, Penn State or Notre Dame?
I'll go with Notre Dame. I don't know. I think it's going to be a really close game. I think it's going to be a good game tonight. Like you said, John, you got 2 programs that historically are known for like choking and not getting that big win, and they're a game away from the national championship. I'll pick Notre Dame.
I'm a little bit like, here's the thing. Obviously I went to Penn State, and I'm a little bit like you where I'm never going to be like, oh, they're going to win by 1,000,000 points. I'm like you with the Niners. Like, I don't think the Niners are going to win.
Right, you're scared as hell.
So I think it's a really good game. I think it comes down to the very end. I think it's a 3-point game one way or the other. I'm certainly rooting for Penn State to win this game. The interesting fact here that we talked about, like neither of these teams win big games. They do, but like these type of games, Penn State has no national title since the 1986 season, and Notre Dame's last national title was the 1988 season. Like, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Like, that's like pre-Jim era.
It is pre-Jim
both
era.
of these programs. So the winner has a chance to play for a natty come about a week or so from now. I think it's a 3-point game one way or the other, and I know who I'm rooting for, and it's not Notre Dame. Next question.
Will the Padres sign Michael King to a long-term deal?
And they freaking better, because if not, you're potentially going to go to arbitration case. That would signal to me a red flag with the new ownership group, that you're already going to an arbitration case for a player. Can't get that done. Preller hates doing this. He never has done it once in his entire tenure as GM here, and all of a sudden now with the new change in ownership and penny pinching and budgets, you're going to go to an arbitration case potentially with one of your best pitchers. So I hope that one of the reasons why they didn't get this thing done is because they're just working towards a long-term contract extension. That's my hope. But again, I don't know.
I think that's at least a realistic possibility that they are going to work on something beyond 1 year. Like, that's at least possible. Yeah. I don't know how likely it is. Yeah, I'd be really disappointed if they didn't get that done, because they're not getting it done with Dylan Cease.
No.
So if they're not getting a long-term deal done with Michael King, and they're not getting a long-term deal done with Dylan Cease, then they better land Roki Sasaki. And if you keep going one step further, and if they don't land Roki, and they need Michael King. He's a young enough pitcher that should have 3, 4, 5 good years in his arm. Yeah. They need that.
And it would behoove the Seidler bros to have, Michael King get signed here to a long-term contract here pretty quickly. Because you know what that does? That shows the fan base that you aren't cheap, that you are going to still spend money, that you are going to be giving guys long-term contracts still. That's something that you kind of, I feel like, almost have to do here with what has come out recently. Because if you don't, and you go to an arbitration case with Michael King, and you trade Dylan Cease, and say you don't land Roki Sasaki, well, guess what? All this talk and PR junk that the Seidler bros are saying, no one's going to believe you, dude. No one's going to believe you.
The way you say Seidler bros, is there the sandwich shop?
No,
Dutch
for me,
Bros
every time he says that, all I think is dun, 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 dun.
I don't know. There's something about the way you
Super
say
Mario
it.
Brothers. Super Seidler Bros.
Well, the thing is, like, you got to prove to the fan base that you're going to uphold the legacy of Peter.
But again, do you when you sell out your season ticket memberships and have the most season ticket holders ever? Like, what are they going to do?
I know.
That's where
I get
that's
it.
the fine line.
get
But
it.
your point's valid. I think people will be upset, but how upset will they be? Next question.
Who's the mystery team for Roki?
Oh,
I wouldn't be surprised if it's the Mariners. I was thinking like Atlanta, just because
Okay.
they always work in silence.
mhm.
Like they're always like, oh, they've announced the signing for Ronald Acuna for 5 years, $100 million, and everyone's like, what? Like they do. Like they're a team that I wouldn't be surprised if they're in. Now again, that'd be kind of a shock because I haven't heard the Braves mentioned once, and I don't know their history with Japanese players, if there even is a history there. But yeah, I'll go with that.
I kind of like the Seattle
Yeah,
theory. They
I
can
do.
develop young pitching. They're in the West and they're in a mid-sized market.
Yeah.
I think that combination at least would give them some type of chance to potentially land Sasaki. I think ultimately it'll be Dodgers or Padres, and I'm leaning more towards Dodgers ever since we found out about this whole ownership situation. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. We'll have an answer within 2 weeks. Next question.
Which road team is most likely to get upset this weekend in the NFL playoffs,
Or
or
which-
to get an upset?
Yeah, exactly. Pull off an upset. So 6 road teams.
Chargers. I'll listen to Chris Hodge. I think Chargers for sure. I don't think the Texans. I think the Texans are kind of one of those like, yeah, they got in the postseason, but they're not really a good team. CJ Stroud has had a really bad season compared to what he did last year. Like you look at his numbers and you're like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone gives Brock Purdy crap. CJ Stroud's a young quarterback, and he had a way worse season than Brock Purdy. So, like, to me, I think the Chargers, and with Jim Harbaugh, he's the type of coach that isn't going to have the Chargers, like, charger themselves.
Yep.
I think that if the Chargers get beat, they're just going to get beat by a better football team. So I think the Chargers this weekend.
So both the Chargers and the Vikings are 2.5-point road favorites. And I agree with you. I think the Chargers are more likely to win than the Vikings would be in Los Angeles against the Rams. So, yeah, I think the Chargers ultimately, all these NFL games are relatively close, but I agree with Chris. He said he thought they would win by a touchdown. And I think that is definitely realistic. Chargers on the road. Jim Harbaugh's won a good amount in the postseason. He's had success.
Can you pick the Rams if you don't think they're going to play
Ooh.
in LA?
No, I don't
No.
think that's not road.
Well, if neither one of them play in Arizona, so
That's like neutral.
Yeah, so it's hard to pick that game.
That's like a bowl game.
Yeah.
That would be
still
an
not a
interesting
home
crowd.
game,
That would be a very, I don't know what the crowd would look like. It wouldn't be full.
No,
I wouldn't think
I
so.
wouldn't
no.
think so.
and tickets wouldn't be that high
No.
priced.
It'd be
No, they'd have to just let people in, I think, to fill the seats. With,
No, they're
with
never.
that short
They would
notice.
never
let 'em in,
They would
but-
never let them in on for free.
but they
in the
wouldn't
NFL.
be expensive. Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh every year they've made the postseason in the NFL
Has one.
has gone to the NFC title game or the championship game or a Super Bowl. It wasn't like a long period of time. It was only 3 years, but still 3 years
that's
to
pretty
make a
good.
title game, a Super Bowl, and then a title game. I don't think the Chargers as a team are good enough to win the Super Bowl just yet, but like, don't be surprised if all of a sudden Chargers, you look up and they have the Chiefs on the ropes.
All I know is when I watched the Texans, which is twice,
They suck.
they look awful.
Yeah, they're awful.
Some at Arrowhead, they were bad. The game on Christmas Day, they could not have looked worse. So against some really good teams, they were not good. Now, I don't think the Chargers are the Chiefs, and I don't think the Chargers are the Ravens, truthfully. But I think the Chargers find a way. I think they'll win that game. I think they'll cover the 2.5. I think they'll win that game and cover the 2.5.
And now, do I want the Chargers to win? No,
but
I
that's
want the
not
Texans.
That's not the question.
I want the Texans to blow them out. Unfortunately, I do like Harbaugh. I do like him. I like Herbert. But the franchise, I hate him, despise him. Hope the Texans blow him out by 30 points.
70470, start it with team. How many people are rooting for the Chargers this weekend? Are you rooting for the Chargers this weekend?
Nah.
70470, start it with team. All right, the latest from John Morosi on the Jerkson Pro Farm Market on the other side, plus a chance later this hour during Trainwreck Radio to win Aztec basketball tickets for next Tuesday night. It's Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. We'll start tonight with the college football semifinals. Penn State and Notre Dame are moments away from kickoff there. Aztecs that take on New Mexico Saturday morning, 10 a.m. tip time. Listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. And tonight is the Brian Dutcher Coaches Show with John and Coach Dutch. And the Padres, they made some moves today as far as one-year deals go to avoid arbitration with Luis Arraez, Dylan Cease, Jason Adam, Luis Campusano, and Adrian Morejon. The one player they did not sign was Michael King. That could go to an arbitration case. The fully electric EQS sedan from Mercedes-Benz is innovation on the magnificent scale, available with an epic 56-inch touch-sensitive hyperscreen. The vehicle's all electric. The feeling is all Mercedes. Learn more at MBUSA.com today.
All right, so there's a market for jerks and profar potentially. I haven't heard this yet. Okay, we don't have it. Okay, it's all good. We'll get to it. Okay, we'll get to it in a moment. We're going to hear from John Morosi in a moment on jerks and profar, and of course on Carlos Estevez, the reliever. Because whenever you have a market for jerks and profar, you want to know the market for Carlos Estevez. But I'm curious to hear what he says, because I have no idea what the market is for jerks and profar. Like, absolutely no idea. Is he going to get that 3-year deal, $15 million plus? Is it going to be another 1-year deal? Is it going to be a bargain at the end of the day? Like, I have no feel for the profar market.
None. Because
zero zilch.
Because I look at what I don't even know if this is what he's asking for, but it was reported around 45, 3 years type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
If he gets that, okay. It feels like that's kind of what he's looking for. Anything higher than that, as far as years go, I would be kind of surprised. I don't think he's going to settle for another 1-year deal. He can't.
Right.
Like, you can't. This is his one time to really cash out. I think he gets 3 for around 40 to 45. I do.
3 for around 40 or 45. Yeah, I think it's probably reasonable considering the market. He's probably earned that based on his year. You know, you and I both follow, and a lot of Padres fans are aware of the account Too Much Morton's, and he put it in good context. A lot of Padres fans, I think, were somewhat down on Profar's second half compared to his first half. And I don't have the exact tweet in front of me, but even Profar's quote-unquote down second half was an OPS plus, I think, of around 120. He was 20% better than league average in the second half. He was way better than that in the first half. But even when he came back to earth, he was a very productive hitter for the Padres. So even saying he's that guy, he's got real value. I just don't know who's going to give him. I don't know. I mean, 3 years seems like a lot. But
because I don't know if he can replicate, what he did last year. If he can, then it's almost feels like a bargain.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the one case that's so tricky, because you got a guy who's been in the league for over a decade, I want to say, or more.
Yeah, definitely around 10 years.
And last year was his best year. And now he's trying to bank off that. And if you're paying him for what he did last year, okay, but that means you better get close to that production for at least 2 to 3 years, right?
Right. And so he's 31 now. He turns 32 soon-ish. Oh, February 20th. So he's 32 before the season.
Okay.
And 3 years means age 32, 33, 34 season. A little risky, probably more than that. His career WAR, wins above replacement, is 8.4. And 3.6 of that came last year.
Yeah.
Half of his career was 1 year.
Right.
And he's had a career, to your point, that started in 2012.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I could go either way on it. I think he's got great value for the San Diego Padres.
I do too.
Truthfully. But again, at like what price, which is everything right now with San Diego.
Yeah. I think that he brings something to the table, again, like Luis Arraez, that this team desperately needs, which is that vibe, right?
Yep.
We talked a lot about last year, vibes, and Profar was a vibe. He helped this team a lot. The beginning of the season, where would the team be without Profar?
Yeah.
Like, he carried this team at times.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so hard to kind of gauge if he can do that again, because he only did it 1 year. And it's here in San Diego, and we know he's flourished here in San Diego. His 2.5, 3 years here in San Diego, they've been good seasons. 2022, he was really good. He wasn't as good as he was last year when he was back with the team at the end of the disastrous 2023 year. He played well in a short period of time. And then last year was his best season. I just think that it is such an unknown with him that if you did sign him to a 3-year, $45 million deal, you're kind of going into the 3 years with a lot of bit of unknown that you just kind of sit there and hope that he produces what he did this past year.
Yeah, I agree with that. John Morosi. Okay, this is on both Jurickson Profar and Carlos Estevez, the reliever.
Do you want the Carlos Estevez
but
stuff?
I don't know where it is in it.
I cut it out.
Yeah,
so.
I just want the Jurickson Pro. Actually, do you want to know the market on Carlos Estevez?
Who?
Exactly. It's a good reliever.
It's not Charlie Sheen either.
All right, let's hear the market for Jurickson Profar from John Morosi.
Another guy that I'm going to talk about here in a minute in Jurickson Profar, and say that when you consider the way that the Jays outfield looks, Profar is a fit for the Toronto Blue Jays as well. So whether it's Estevez, whether it's Jurickson Profar, there are a number of different free agents out there who I look at and I believe the Jays have had conversations on as being a fit. Profar is a switch hitter, and the lack of discussion, broadly speaking, in this man, Jurickson Profar, is just baffling to me, because you look at what he did last year. He's not an old player. He's entering his age 32 season. He had 24 homers, a very balanced OPS plus against both righties and lefties. You see the energy that he brought to the Padres a year ago. So whether it's Estevez or Profar, they're both of interest right now to the Toronto Blue Jays. And
Okay, so
All right, so this is more about the team. Okay.
yeah,
Profar to the Blue Jays. Okay, that's fine.
yeah, it's gonna be another gut punch to the fans if in the next couple weeks here you see like, oh, Profar signed with X team that's not the Padres.
Oh yeah,
and then the next question will be like, for how much? And
Yep.
if it's a deal that you're like, they couldn't do that, meaning the Padres,
Mm-hmm.
that's just going to be another, red ledger mark on the Seidler Bros.
The Seidler Bros. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, again, I think he's probably earned 3 years. And I think he's probably earned $45 million. And I also think I'd like to see him back in a Padres uniform, but I don't feel like I'd feel amazing about the Padres signing Jurickson Profar to a 3-year, $45 million deal.
Because if he doesn't produce and he falls back to old Jurickson Profar, then you got a problem.
Yes, exactly. It's one thing to have a 1-year problem. A 1-year deal for Jurickson Profar that doesn't pan out is not impacting your 2026.
And even if he didn't pan out, it meant nothing because it was for $1 million.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Last year, complete flyer deal.
Like if you signed a player like Giants to sign Verlander for 1 year, $15 million. If Verlander wets the bed and sucks, that's like a $15 million 1 year blunder that, could affect you if you don't get offload Verlander in the middle of that year. $1 million is nothing.
Right. By the way, I think the NFL, and I could be wrong, because I don't know if I trust this source, but the guy's got 120,000 followers.
Is it Hacksaw?
Brian McCarthy at NFL PR guy?
Yeah, he's the NFL PR.
The NFL has moved the wild card Vikings-Rams game to Arizona.
Okay, yeah.
In the interest of public safety, Monday's Vikings-Rams game has been moved from SoFi Stadium to State Farm Stadium, home of the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Decision made in consultation with public officials. The game will remain at 5 p.m. Pacific. Tickets will go on sale 10 a.m. Friday.
That's what happens to people that bought tickets for SoFi.
No idea. Great point. Really good point.
Can they transfer them? But they're going to travel.
Yeah.
And
like let me leave.
Yeah. And I'm 100% positive that people that lost their homes in this tragic fire were probably going to go to this game on Monday night. No question about it. So they got bigger things to worry about.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Anyway, tickets on sale 10 a.m. Pacific Friday through SeatGeek.com for Rams season ticket members, and noon Pacific for the general public. More information will be provided as soon as possible on ticket sales. Vikings Rams. Sean McVay said today they were planning to play in Inglewood. That was the expectation. The game will be moved to Arizona. It makes sense they announce it now. I mean, how long can you wait? You can't do it the day before. So they've done it actually 4 days before. Vikings Rams will be played in Arizona.
What they should do.
There goes the Rams advantage.
Yeah, but I was thinking like not football wise. Like,
right.
all ticket sales and proceeds and what you make at that game should go to fire relief in LA.
And maybe they will.
I would like if that would be awesome if they did that. And now I don't know how much money that could generate for one single gate for an NFL game, especially not in like their home town.
It's still probably in the low millions.
Still, that's
a good amount of money.
That's a good amount of money.
More
in
than
NFL, you can afford to
well, they're gonna have to make a donation, I would think, with 2 teams in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
All right. So we continue to. It's impacted a lot of sporting events, but it's impacted a lot more people's lives as well. All right, we're gonna get to Trainwreck Radio on the other side. This is trivia. If you want 2 free tickets to see the Aztecs take on Colorado State Tuesday night at Viejas Arena, first 2 callers will be our contestants. We have 2 free tickets to see the Aztecs on Tuesday night at Viejas Arena. All you need to do is call 877-767-4760. You need to call right now. Pick up your phone. We have 2 free tickets for our first 2 callers. They'll be the contestants. 877-767-4760. We'll play trivia on the other side. We're here until 6 in the Brian Dutcher Show on Jon and Jim. All right, Penn State Notre Dame is underway, which means enjoy listening to our show because we're going to be watching over the next 75 minutes or so. Now, we do have
Enjoy
Aztec.
the coach's show at 6.
No, I'll be locked in for that. It's Jim and you. It's Jim. I'm fine.
Yeah, who cares?
I don't need to be locked in with you guys, but I'll be locked in when Dutch joins us tonight. Coming up at 6 p.m., we have Aztec tickets that we're going to give away for Tuesday night. And Orange Bowl underway in Miami.
Yeah, I've the first thing that pops out to me is this is an amazing jersey matchup. Amazing.
Yeah, it's just kind of a blue blood game. Penn State, Notre Dame.
Yeah. You have two incredible programs. Now they haven't won a national championship recently, but Notre Dame and Penn State. That's why it makes it so good, is because you have two, like you said, blue blood programs that haven't won in a long time. So the fan bases are even more starved for it. Like it'd be one thing if it was like Alabama and Notre Dame, you got David versus Goliath. This is, you got two teams that are kind of on the even playing field when it comes to like, they haven't won a national championship in how many decades?
Yeah, it's been a while, like 40 years. All right, we'll keep our eye on that with updates. But right now, let's get to this.
The game's over. All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants, we have Carrie and we have Tom. Carrie, you called in first. So you have your choice of John or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
Let's go with John.
All right. Carrie and John. Tom, you got Jim, okay?
All right, let's go.
All right. Brent, what's the question of the day?
All right, guys, like we said, the Orange Bowl has just got underway. Today's question, did you know that 7 teams have made at least 7 Orange Bowl appearances? Today's question, name any of those 7 teams with at least 7 Orange Bowl appearances.
Whoa. Okay. Not easy.
All right, Tom.
Not hard either.
Tom, you're
Okay.
up first. What's your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I'm going to say the U, Miami.
Good guess on the list.
Wow.
There we go. Carrie, you're up next. What's your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Wow. Bless you, Jim.
All
All right,
right.
we're tied up.
Tom, back to you. What's your second guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I will say Florida State.
Florida State. There we go.
Wow.
Carrie, back to you. What's your second guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Nebraska.
Nebraska. Whoa.
Wow.
Tom, to go 3 for 3 here. What's your final guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Let's use a lifeline.
All right, Jim.
Mr. College
Mr.
Football.
Orange Bowl
Mr.
historian himself.
Crap. I mean, full transparency, I have no clue, but I'm just going to give you Clemson. You can take it, or you can choose something else if you want.
You know what? I will take Clemson.
Oh my gosh. How do you get that?
Baby?
Now we're in uncharted territory here.
Carrie, to send this thing to overtime, you do have a lifeline if you want to use it, which is your partner, John. What do you got?
I'll take a lifeline.
Oh man. I mean, I don't know. There's only 2 schools left.
Yeah. And all the big names have been said, it feels like.
I mean, I would, my mind is going to Ohio State, but there's not the natural tie-in, I don't think, to the Big Ten and the Orange Bowl. They've definitely played in it. I just trying to think. Nebraska and Oklahoma. Man, I'm so fascinated, truly, by the answer.
Should I just guess?
Yeah, I'm
gonna
say Ohio State. My official guess is Ohio State, although I don't think it's going to be correct.
My official guess is Alabama.
Alabama.
Wow. Is Ohio State on the list?
No.
No, I didn't think they were.
Wow. All right. So we are now going to overtime. Brent, give us the rules of overtime. And then after that, give us the question.
All right, how overtime works, guys, is I'm going to ask you another question. When I am done asking the question, you are going to yell out the name of, when you're done beeping, you are going to yell out the name of your partner today, either John or Jim. Don't yell out the answer. Whoever yells out the name of your partner first, you are either going to win the game or you're going to lose the game by getting the question wrong. You guys got it?
Got it. Got it.
Okay, guys. Today's overtime question. Where will Monday night's NFL wildcard game be played?
Jim.
I heard Jim.
Tom.
Glendale, Arizona.
Wow,
There
he's
we
on
go.
top of the
He is
news.
on
He's
it.
been listening. All right, well done.
Good job, Tom.
Tom,
Good
you're
job,
going to see
Tom.
the Aztecs Tuesday night against Colorado State. Tickets at goaztecs.com. The one school we didn't mention was
Georgia Tech.
Oh,
Georgia Tech, ACC tie-in.
Would have never guessed it.
ACC tie-in. Okay.
Yeah, it had like
See, it
ACC
wasn't that hard.
No, it really in the
No.
end, it was the
No.
programs that the
Yeah.
guys did great and
Yeah.
Jim did great, and I'm an idiot.
You are an idiot.
But yeah, I was thinking it was too tricky to be Penn State or Notre Dame, which are playing here tonight.
They're both at 6.
Oh,
Counting
okay.
tonight,
So that's
so.
pretty tricky. All right, on the other side, we are going to get back to it. We're here until 6 p.m. Brian Dutcher again, the Brian Dutcher Show coming up at 6 p.m. What's going to happen with the Padres payroll? Something has to give. Players getting raises, the payroll pushing $200 million. What happens on the other side? Again, here until 6 p.m. We'll update you on the college football semifinal game between Penn State and Notre Dame at the Orange Bowl. Here for another hour, then the Brian Dutcher Show. Stay with us on Jon and Jim.
This update's brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. The first national semifinal college football playoff game is underway. Notre Dame and Penn State are scoreless in the first quarter there. Tomorrow night will be the second of the national semifinal playoff games between Ohio State and Texas. San Diego State, coming off their blowout win last night against Air Force, will take on New Mexico Saturday morning, 10 a.m. tip time. Listen right here on San Diego Sports 760. The Brian Dutcher Coaches Show with John and Coach Dutch will be at 6 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. NFL news of the day. This just breaking moments ago. The playoff game between the Vikings and the Rams will be moved to Arizona at Glendale because of the fires in L.A. And Padres news of the day, they have agreed to terms with Luis Arraez, Dylan Cease, Luis Campusano, Adrian Morhone, and Jason Adam on one-year deals. They did not come to an agreement with Michael King that could go to arbitration. It would be the first in the Preller era. The fully electric EQS sedan from Mercedes-Benz is innovation on a magnificent scale, available with an epic 56-inch touch-sensitive hyperscreen. The vehicle's all electric. The feeling's all Mercedes. Learn more at mbusa.com/EQS.
Getting you all set for that drive home. Let's just start the show. Here's Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Final hour of Jon and Jim. We do have the Brian Dutcher Show coming up at 6 p.m. Head coach of the Aztecs will join us coming up. And we'll talk some Aztecs hoops from 6 to 7 here on San Diego Sports 760.
How do you fair catch at the 1?
Right, so Penn State and Notre Dame are scoreless about midway through the first quarter. And, yeah, Penn State had a fair catch at the 2.
The 2-yard line.
Which isn't normally suggested.
No.
They just let the ball go into the end zone.
Well, Notre Dame did have the coverage really well.
Yeah, but can't you call for a fair catch, get out of the way, and then they can't do anything about it and bounces into the end zone?
Yeah.
So that's an 18-yard mistake.
It's funny just to listen to John yell random stuff at Notre Dame during the commercial breaks. I'm waiting for him to be like, Rudy sucks.
No, that's not happening. All right, so you mentioned this earlier, Jim. We started the show by talking about what Jeff Sanders tweeted out earlier, the breakdown of the Padres payroll, which is $200 million. Which is a huge number. It's more than they had last year in payroll. And the interesting thing when I look at this, like on the tweet, man, a huge chunk of it is, as we've known, it's like 5 players is half of it.
Yeah.
Right. Take the top spenders here, like the Machados.
Like, what's the outlier there? It's Xander Bogaerts.
Right. He's going to be paid $25 million next year.
Yu Darvish, $21 million.
Yep.
What really hurts is Joe's $20 million isn't even going to be utilized next year because he's got Tommy John surgery.
Right.
Like, that's what really, really hurts this team from a pitching standpoint. You got a guy making $20 million on the shelf.
Well, how about Musgrove again, you can't predict health. So it's not anyone's fault on that.
No, it's not.
But Musgrove's 20, Hosmer's 12.5, and then Ha-Seong Kim's buyout is 2. Mm-hmm. That combined is $34.5 million. 34.5 of your 196 has no relevancy to your 2025. Musgrove, Hosmer, Kim. Presumably Kim.
Yeah.
Because he's not coming back to the best of our knowledge.
Right.
And then from there, I mean, Tatis is getting 20. Completely reasonable. Bogaerts is getting 25. Like you said, that's high. I mean, I think that the Cease at 13.75 and the Arraez at 14, I'm on board with. I don't think that's unreasonable at all.
Tell you what, anytime for the foreseeable future, we talk about payroll.
Yeah.
And you look at charts like that.
Right.
It just makes you just even more upset about Xander Bogaerts. Like the Manny contract, we talked about it the other day, the nightmare deals, 2027, that thing is not going to look pretty, right? You're going to see a 35 attached to his name on stuff that Jeff Sanders tweets out about the payroll here.
Right.
But right now, it's what, 17, 13? What is it?
Bogey?
No. Manny.
Manny right now is only 13.
Okay. Yeah, this thing is going to balloon here.
Yeah.
In the next couple of years.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Those prices are only going up in terms of payroll.
Right.
CBT is a separate conversation. We talked about this earlier. Padres are basically at this tax threshold, maybe over it.
Yeah.
At threshold they don't want to go over.
Because you got Toddy making $20 million next year, but his CBT number is 30. Manny's making 13 next year, but his CBT number is over 30.
Yep.
Xander is making 20. How much is it? 25?
Xander's 25 on here, which is about a CBT number. It's like 27.
27, 28.
Yep.
And it's probably going to go, and it's so Yeah, it's again, for a team that is dealing with like payroll problems, or not even problems, just like their unwillingness to pay money anymore. From the, when Peter was here talking to players about $400 million contracts and talking to people about $350 million contracts and handing out $280 million contracts and re-signing Manny for $350 million. And then the following offseason, when Peter's not here, nothing. Now, I know you made a great point. Yes, the impact of having no TV deal does hurt this franchise. But you also can't tell me that even without a TV deal, if Peter were here, he still would be trying to push the envelope and spending money.
Right. I mean, we lived through it. We saw what he did. And what he did was freewheel spend, right? Like we've never seen. So how can we say that if he was still running the franchise, he would not be doing that? Because he was doing it.
Yeah.
So how is everyone so certain that if Peter was still here, Soto would have been traded and payroll would have been coming down in big numbers? Maybe it would have come down. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
They had like a top 3 payroll. But how do we all know? And I'm just speaking, I don't think everyone feels this way, but there are people that believe that even if Peter was living and owned this team, the same things would be occurring, where I'm like, well, that's not how he ran the team when he was living.
Yeah. And we've said this before, as recently as yesterday afternoon, is that to think that the same things would be happening, and the plan all along was like, oh yeah, they were going to trade Soto and they were going to not spend any money anymore and yada, yada, yada. It's like, are you really? Like, what? That was the plan? And we've harped on it that if you're going to throw out these puff piece PR statements using Peter's name to relay how you're going to honor his legacy, you damn well better honor it in the way that Peter would want you to, which is pushing the envelope, doing everything you possibly can to win a World Series, and making sure that you don't let these players that the fans adore and love and help you win walk. That was the one thing that Peter said when they re-signed guys like Jurickson Profar and Manny Machado and Tatis and Joe. Was like, he was so hell-bent on keeping the core of the team together for a long period of time, because that is what, a fan base deserves. Is they deserve to have these guys around for long periods of time.
Well, here's the thing. They likely will have a number of these quote unquote stars around for a long period of time. We're going to look up one day and say, Manny played how long for the Padres? Toddy played how long for the Padres? Xander, Joe Musgrove, Yu Darvish. I mean, there's some pieces here that you spend 5+ seasons somewhere in professional sports. Like, it's a good chunk of time. We're talking about guys that could spend 10+ seasons in Toddy and Manny and Bogey, whether you like it or not. So it's not like everyone's gone, even though the payroll is expected to keep going down. But there is like a point where, at what point is it too much? Like, okay, the Soto thing, it actually worked out in 193 games. If you trade a Cease or a Rise, still on board because they win 88 games and make the postseason, and then the next offseason it's the other one. And like, at what point is it too much? Because right now it's not too much that they moved Soto or that the payroll has come down, because I don't know. I mean, again, it's a different conversation. Like, is the expectation that Padres fans are the Padres are relevant? Yeah, the Padres are relevant. Is the expectation they win the World Series? I don't know if right now they're going to win a World Series based on where they are as an organization.
Yeah, again, with the lawsuit that has gone on now, it's really hard to envision a franchise that's so unstable in your ownership group, and you have infighting to like win a World Series. And I hope we're all proven wrong. I hope that they can overcome that. But the trickle down effect maybe won't be felt this upcoming season, but eventually over time it's going to be felt.
Yeah, maybe that's a good point. It feels like to this point they've completely dodged any trickle effect. I mean, they're coming off a really good year. So even with a quote unquote ownership change or chairman change, I think by and large most people aren't. I don't know how concerned people are going to be. They're going to say, hey, we won 93 games last year. We made the second round of the postseason. We're kind of happy with where the franchise is until something happens, like they don't win 93 games, or they don't make the postseason, or they don't win in the postseason.
I'll preface by saying, until spring training. So to definitively say, like, all right, this is a joke. Well, they still have time to make moves. And then when the moves are made and we get to spring training and we get to, like, right before the season starts, then we can evaluate what kind of offseason they had. And truly, we don't really know until like the season plays out.
Yeah.
Like last year, the beginning of last year, we were all like, is Jackson Hill really going to be like that guy? And he turned out to be the best players in baseball.
And we've never said at any point this offseason that, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is what they're doing with their offseason. We've always held out the possibility of, well, Roki is out there.
Yeah.
And then we'll see how much spending they actually
do. They resign King or
do they trade one of these players or not?
Yeah.
Like, so we're just speculating. I mean, we see how the truth is they've been quiet.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that the activity is not going to pick up. And of course, at some point, it actually will pick up. We just don't know what that means.
Yeah. Like, if they land Roki, they re-sign Michael King to a long-term contract. They trade Dylan Cease, and they get back 2 top prospects that are major league ready. One's a pitcher, one's a position player.
Right.
They trade for another controllable pitcher that's not making a lot of money.
Right.
They then re-sign Jurickson Profar.
Yeah, that's a positive, productive. Gives you a feeling that they know what they're doing, and they're trying to win.
You have like the give and take. Like, okay, we had to trade Dylan Cease to do this. Like, it's not all great. Like, you don't want to see them trade Dylan Cease because $13.75 million for a year of Dylan Cease
sounds good.
Sounds really good. You can help you. But again, with where they're at, if they did that, if that was their offseason, I'd be like, it's really good.
But doesn't it feel like a lot of things
But I don't know if that's going to
for
happen because there's like 30 days left before they report.
Right. Like, what are the odds that what you just said, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but like even 4 out of 5 of what you just said or 3 out of 5 occurs? I don't even know.
I don't know, but I don't think it's that high.
Yeah, I don't think it's that high either. And maybe it is hinging on Roki Sasaki. If the quiet offseason has to do with Sasaki and they land him, I buy it.
I will too.
But if the quiet offseason plays out and they don't land Sasaki, then I'll be like, come on.
Like they don't land Sasaki. They trade Dylan Cease. They don't give a long-term contract to Michael King. They end up going to arbitration for the first time in the Preller era. They don't re-sign Jurickson Profar. They have Tirso Ornelas out in the outfield. They have a couple minor league guys that make this opening day roster. They don't make any big-time signings this offseason. Then we got a problem.
Well, you're right. You just presented both sides of a possibility for the remainder of the offseason for the Padres. It could be really productive and positive, the perception, or it could be eerily quiet and all on the margins and left to wonder, are they really going to compete?
And there can be a middle.
There's probably a middle.
Like I gave you probably like maybe the best case scenario for an offseason and probably one of the worst case scenarios for offseason. I think there could be a middle ground there. They couldn't they could lose out on the Roki sweepstakes. They could trade Dylan Cease, but they could then re-sign Michael King. And I'd be like, that's good. That's a positive. At least there's some positive here amongst the disappointment of losing out on Roki and the disappointment of having to trade Dylan Cease. But then you could be probably excited about what you get back for Dylan Cease. And then you re-sign Michael King. Like, there could be a middle ground there. But even the middle ground, too, is like, is that going to be enough?
We'll find out sooner rather than later. All right, the update on Roki. Is there a mystery team or not? An update from the Orange Bowl between Penn State and Notre Dame. We have Jim's back page ahead. The Brian Dutcher Show coming up at 6 p.m. Don't go anywhere. It's Jon and Jim. Homeowners, it's time to start fresh in 2025. Hey, guys, it's Schaefer. Loan Pronto is here to help you take control of your finances in 2025 by lowering your house payment and consolidating that nagging debt. Did you know that 9 out of 10 borrowers get a better deal by calling Loan Pronto? Right now, Loan Pronto has some of the most competitive offers for refis, debt consolidation, and purchase loans, starting in the low 5s APR. If your current rate's over 6%, don't settle for paying too much. Even if you're in the process with another lender, call Loan Pronto, lock in a lower rate today, and close in as little as 2 weeks, often with no appraisal. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. It's fast, easy, and hassle-free. Get your personalized Loan Pronto rate quote instantly with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees. Call now, 619-207-4336. That's 619-207-4336. LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org. All right, the update from the Orange Bowl in Miami. It's a college football semifinal game, no score. Penn State, Notre Dame. Penn State is driving. They just had an interception. So first quarter, we'll keep you updated. Brian Dutcher show coming up at 6 p.m. I do want to say this about the Pleasures real quick to give them credit. I do think it's very impressive that they sold out season ticket memberships for each of us. I really do believe that's impressive. I think they've marketed the club incredibly well. I really believe that. I think they've done a terrific job. I think the fan support here is spectacular. I really believe it's spectacular. I think they deserve a lot of credit for it. I just am like you in saying, keep pushing the thing forward from an ownership perspective. People are so all in. The fans have been so incredible. The marketing of the club has been terrific, and they have won at a good clip. Just keep pushing this thing forward. That's all I would say.
Let's be real here. Not every single fan of this team is like in the weeds as much as we are.
No doubt. No doubt. And
Like,
there's diehards, and then there's
They just want to go to have a fun time. The ballpark is amazing. They have some really good players on the team to go watch. The in-game experience is great. Downtown San Diego, great food, good beer. Yeah, it costs a fortune, but okay. Yep. So, like, with that said, if there are fans that have been season ticket holders that aren't season ticket holders now, or chose not to renew their season tickets because they see like the trend of this franchise, then you're going to get that next person in line who maybe doesn't know all the things that person knew, and he's like, oh, who? Who's the? Well, what lawsuit? They got Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. I love my Jackson Merrill. These guys are awesome, So,
but that's the beauty of what they've done. They have the hardcore. It's all in, and they have all these superstars. But what they've done with what you call the non-hardcore fan is
not the casual, but like
in between casual and hardcore.
Like, oh, I love Jackson Merrill. He's great. I love the ballpark.
And I love it. So that's the beauty of it. They got a good ballpark. They market it well. They have good promotions. They have good players. So for the non-hardcore, it works. For the hardcore, well, they have players that have superstar characteristics.
As we go here, they didn't come off of 99 loss season. Right. It was a season where they won 93 games. You don't usually see a dip, you don't see you don't see a dip in attendance if your team loses in the postseason and returns most of the players.
But the year before, what about the 82 and 80 year that they ran that thing back and sold out their season ticket memberships?
Right, because I think one thing was like, having a rookie in Jackson Merrill who was promised to be really good and turned out to be amazing. You still have Tatis. You still have Manny Machado. You traded for Dylan Cease, even though it happened late in the process.
Mm-hmm.
You have pieces that fans still can get behind.
Right.
If they sold this thing and gutted the franchise and gutted the players, then you are going to see the dip and decline rapidly.
But I think you and I both agree that that's not my expectation with the San Diego Padres. I don't think they're going to completely strip it down. I don't think that's their hope.
That is the one thing that Peter never, ever, ever wanted to do. And just would if that ever happened, would lose his mind.
The only way I'm ever, and proponent's the wrong word, the only way I'm ever quasi okay with it is off a World Series. Not immediately.
No.
But if you win the World Series and eventually it comes back down,
like the Marlins of 97.
Not that, but like the Nats. The Nats win a World Series. They recognize 2 years later all their starting pitching is old and injured. And it's time to trade Juan Soto. And let's rebuild this thing the right way.
Yeah. No, I agree.
That's the one thing I would say. And it's on the heels of winning a World Series.
Yep.
So that's the one caveat for me in that. But what's happening in this game?
Are you ready to lose your mind?
This game has already been ridiculous.
They're at the freaking one, Penn State. They throw an interception.
But there's a hold on Notre Dame.
But there's a penalty.
But then they get a 1st and goal. And
wait, why say 1st and 10?
No, it's 3rd and goal now. You're like 10 minutes behind here on Skycast.
No, I'm actually ahead of you there.
Oh, don't watch ahead of me. You're right. You're ahead of me. You
Sorry.
are. Yeah. So anyway, it's a long way of me saying that, yeah, we are critical, obviously, because this offseason has been quiet and we have questions about this lawsuit and we wonder about ownership and we want Padres fans to be rewarded because of how good they are to this franchise. But on the other side, the organization has had a lot of successes. They've been in NLCS, that last year, the 93 wins, the way they draw at Petco Park. I just want to see the thing continue to be pushed forward with it. They don't have to spend $300 million. Yeah. But I don't need to see every time they have, why can't they keep Dylan Cease through the length of his deal? Why can't they keep Juan Soto through the length of his deal? So on and so forth.
Manny McNuggets in our chat says, I hate this team right now, and I still renewed my season tickets. LOL. I'm addicted to the pain.
Hey, there's some of that too.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a diehard fan, it's going to take a lot for them to walk away from this team for a little while. Like the Niners sucked this past year. I ain't walking away from watching the Niners.
Nor should you.
You have.
I think you should.
Like Brent, your team has sucked, and you're not walking away. So you still have Manny in his prime. You have Tatis in his prime. You have Jackson Merrill, who turned out to be a freaking stud. Everyone loves the kid. I love him. You have still good pitching if they keep Cease and King.
Right.
You still have a really good bullpen if you keep those guys. Even if you don't, you still have a good bullpen. You have pieces like that you can market well. He's not that great. I think they should trade him and get rid of him because I don't think the value's there. But Jake Cronenworth, the Crone Zone, the casual fan loves the Crone Zone.
True.
Okay. So you got pieces there. Now they might have some glaring holes next year that are going to be hard to overcome.
Right. But they still have some of these pieces that are recognizable and can produce. And yeah, it's interesting because part of me, it's like there's the little angel and the little devil. Like the little angels, like they do have Manny Machado on this team. They do have Fernando Tatis Jr.
They have
Like that,
Jackson
you
Merrill.
fought out of bed. Yeah,
Yeah.
you have fought out of bed with some really competent hitters, like top 10
Luis
MVP
Arias, he's a
caliber.
batting champ.
Yeah, and you have pitchers that like Michael King coming off a really good year, and Dylan Cease coming off a really good year. So that's the little angel, and then the little devil's like, well, what else?
Like,
Because it takes a 26-man roster.
Yeah.
We've seen this with Preller.
Yeah.
They've had front-loaded rosters. They've had sexy rosters that haven't won.
Yep.
So maybe there's somewhere in between that. Wow, look at all these superstars. And wait, what about the rest of the roster?
Right.
They're probably somewhere between.
Yeah, the glaring holes that could show up is like pitching and your depth as far as position players go. You don't have a left fielder at this moment in time.
Yeah.
First base, right? Your bench, catcher is a big hole in my opinion. I don't trust Luis Campisano at all. They have no catching. Those could be glaring holes. But, the top 4 of their lineup, if they keep Arias, is Arias, Tatis, Jackson Merrill, Manny Machado.
Pretty good.
It's pretty good.
And it gives you a chance.
Yeah,
it does. Your lineup gives you a chance. And they had a very good lineup a year ago. All right, we'll continue this conversation. Jim's back. Page is ahead. The Brian Dutcher Show is coming up as well. Stay with us on Jon and Jim.
All right, this update's brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. College football semifinal matchup happening right now. Notre Dame and Penn State. Penn State have a 3-0 lead with 14:40 left in the first half. Tomorrow, Ohio State takes on Texas in the other matchup. Padres news of the day. They just announced moments ago, John, the players that they agreed to one-year deals on. 5 of them. Luis Ariz, Luis Campisano, Adrian Morahone, Jason Adam, and Dylan Cease. The one player they did not agree to a one-year deal on was with Michael King. That thing could go to arbitration to be the first one in the Preller era. Aztecs, after their blowout win last night against Air Force, take on New Mexico Saturday morning, 10 a.m. tip time. And tonight is the Brian Dutcher Coaches Show, half hour away from that right here on San Diego Sports 760. The fully electric EQS sedan from Mercedes-Benz is innovation on a magnificent scale. Available with the epic 56-inch touch-sensitive hyperscreen. The vehicle is all electric. The feeling is all Mercedes. Learn more at mbusa.com/EQS.
All right, starting next Monday, San Diego Sports 760 has 13 chances to win $1,000 every weekday with the Grand in Your Hand cash contest. That's every hour, 6 a.m. through 6 p.m. starting next Monday. Listen for the keywords and enter at sportsfc.com starting next Monday, 6 a.m. Presented by Palomar Solar, your trusted partner for solar, batteries, and roofing. Back with you on Jon and Jim. Jim's back page coming up. Brian Dutcher Show at 6 p.m. here on San Diego Sports 760.
I feel like this game.
Can I guess something real quick?
Yeah,
that you're
go
gonna
ahead.
have in your back page. Is there going to be something Lego related in there today?
No.
Then you didn't see it. Maybe you'll have time to add it.
All right, I'm gonna type in Legos right now. Just Legos. Like. Okay.
You'll know it. The Lego is in the news today for one thing. So
Okay.
Oh. Okay.
Is
I
it
see
pretty
it.
cool?
potentially.
All right.
Jinx.
You owe me
Stay
a
tuned.
soda.
Stay tuned for the back page then.
Yeah, cool. All right. I was going to say,
Yeah.
this game feels like it's going to be very low scoring. Like, I hope you took the under.
Or like, which doesn't surprise me
3-2
with Penn
final.
State, Notre Dame. I mean, it's like classic Big Ten, even though Notre Dame's not in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And Penn State wasn't in the Big Ten when these two teams were really good, like in the 80s. But I wonder if it's like the team that makes the fewest mistakes. We've seen some massive mistakes. We saw an interception thrown by Notre Dame over the middle, an overthrow. Then we just saw a Penn State walk-in touchdown that was dropped. Not a great throw, truthfully.
Should have caught it.
Should have been caught, but it was not a good throw. So it's 3-0 Penn State to start the second quarter. You're right. I mean, this is not going to be first to 40.
No.
Clearly.
What is the over-under in this game, by the way?
I think
Did
it
you know?
opened in the 50s, which would have been like
Really?
20-something to 20-something. I thought, or maybe it closed at the 50s. I don't know. Someone look that up.
45.5.
Okay, 45.5. So they were saying basically 24-21.
And the line was Penn State -1.5.
Yeah, so they were saying 24-21, basically, was what the projection. And
Yeah.
it could still be. I mean,
Sounds
maybe that's high scoring now
Yeah.
at 3-0 in the second quarter. But I mean, does this look like a combination of teams that's on their way to beat Ohio State?
Probably not.
That's not what I'm witnessing.
And that's what I always think about when I watch these like games. If there's a potential juggernaut on the other side of the bracket,
Right.
that what team can give that team, if they make it, the best game? Because no one wants to see a Georgia TCU matchup. Because TCU, I mean, they got lucky against Michigan and they got their ass beat. And that will be the most embarrassing loss in the history of college football for a national championship game.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get last year, Michigan-Washington.
That wasn't a
Michigan
very good game.
was
it?
not a good game.
Very
And-
few of these have been great games.
Right. But I'm just looking at like the last 2 years, you've had that underdog versus the juggernaut, Georgia, Michigan.
Right.
So what gives Penn State the best matchup?
Well,
What
what gives
Ohio
Ohio
State,
State?
sorry,
I mean,
my bad.
Ohio State's fine either way.
I think if Texas beats Ohio State, doesn't matter who wins this game. It's going to be a close game, good matchup. I don't think Texas is going to blow out anybody.
But if Ohio State wins, they could win by 2+ touchdowns.
if Ohio State blows
potentially.
out Texas, the line for that game could be double digits versus Penn State. And
Yeah, it
or
could
Notre
be.
Dame.
I agree. I was just trying to do a quick Google search. Like, how many of these in like the BCS into playoff era have been really good championship games? There have been a few. There
Well,
was some Clemson, Alabamas in there.
The Alabama-Georgia game in overtime when Tua came in and threw that game-winning touchdown.
That was amazing.
That was incredible.
But again, on the other side of that, like you said, is TCU or Michigan,
Clemson, Florida State.
Washington.
Was that in the BCS or was that the playoffs? Florida State versus Clemson.
Was that I forget.
What or
is it bad that I can't remember one since Vince Young?
Yeah, it's bad.
That's the most memorable one for me
Right.
still is the Vince Young UCLA one. Or not UCLA, USC.
Right.
Well, I mean, there's been some pretty good games. I mean, like I just said, Georgia, Alabama, the walk-off there in overtime. You got Florida State winning with Jameis Winston. That game was close. I know Clemson beat Alabama one year.
That one year was great.
A really good game. So there's been a lot of good games.
Yeah, I guess. Some of these semifinals have not been good games.
No.
In the history of the semifinals, there have been some blowouts in the semifinals. Yeah, I don't know what my overall point is other than Ohio State's a heavy favorite to win this thing. And they're even more of a heavy favorite based on what we're watching in the first half of Penn State and Notre Dame.
Now, again, I know we don't have any Ohio State fans near us, but
I'm sure someone.
No, I meant like me, you,
and
Brent, like in the building. Yep. But, you know, not asterisk, but like that little red mark on their resume if they win a national championship, and it's a big one, is they lost to Michigan. So you think it doesn't matter. You think if they win the national title game that it doesn't matter to Ohio State fans that they lost to Michigan and got embarrassed by them at home.
I think nationally it's not overly, I don't think it's a story nationally. It's certainly the story like in Columbus and Ann Arbor and the states of Michigan and Ohio.
It's a but championship.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, my buddy who's staying with me right now because of these fires is a Michigan alum and a diehard Wolverine fan. And yeah, he's already from the position of like, yeah, they're probably going to win the national championship, but we beat them.
I bet you his season, even though they did nothing.
Yeah, it made his season.
Was just as good.
Yeah, they were 7-5, but you'd rather go 7-5 and beat Ohio State.
Michigan or Ohio State.
What would you rather do if you're a Michigan fan, though? Beat Ohio State or lose to Ohio State and win a natty? Like, come on, you got to want the national championship. But I get it. I know it runs that deep.
It's like if you're gonna finally win one, you got to win it. It's like I equate it to throwing a no-hitter for the Padres. It's like you did not want to see a combined no-hitter. It would have been still a no-hitter, but the first no-hitter in franchise history being a combined one would have felt just very awkward.
So you're saying like Ohio State winning a national championship in the same year they lose to Michigan is flat out weird. If that were to play out.
Yes.
And by the way, they have lost 2 games.
And to a Michigan team that's not good.
Right. Didn't have a good year. Yeah. It's not like it was 11-1 versus.
No. Like losing to a bad Michigan team, if you're Ohio State, when you are on the verge of making a national title game at home, that's embarrassing.
As a 16-point favorite or 19-point favorite that day?
Maybe more.
It was a huge number.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. But that's what I kind of like about having an expanded playoff. No Niner fan would ever say, man, we got smoked by the Rams.
Yeah, but there's no rivalry.
But there is like Packers Bears.
I would contest in the NFL. It doesn't matter.
That's what I agree. I don't think it matters.
It doesn't matter.
You could go 9-8. Or what was the Giants team that won the
9-7?
9-7. Okay. Go 9-7. And nobody's ever like they went 9-7. I mean, it's true. They went 9-7. And I think most people believe the Patriots were quote unquote better or the best team.
Yeah, they were undefeated.
But they lost. But I'm saying, but not at the end of the year. I mean, nobody ever argues the validity of the Super Bowl championship.
It's different in college, man. The rivalries are just so much different.
Right. No, I know.
Especially Ohio State, Michigan.
I agree with that.
Completely different. It's like baseball, regular season, Red Sox, Yankees. The Yankees lose every game to the Red Sox, but they win a World Series.
I think you take the World Series.
I think you take the World Series.
But
World Series means it just World Series, Super Bowl, NBA championship. Like there's no one rivalry in pro sports that I feel like a fan base would be like, no, as long as we beat them. It's
right. You wouldn't know Celtic fans like, well, we went 2-0 against the Lakers in the regular season.
Yeah, no. Championship, it doesn't matter if you
lose to that team. Right. In college football, it runs real deep.
Oh,
like Auburn, Alabama, you hold it over them all year.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there's a zillion of them.
Yeah.
There's a zillion of them.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Interesting. Anyway, this game has kind of lived up to the hype, which is it was going to be low scoring, and
it is.
Neither of these two teams could separate from the other. It's 3-0 Penn State. They are midway through or early now in the second quarter. The winner gets Texas-Ohio State winner. That's tomorrow in the Cotton Bowl. Then all the NFL playoffs. We'll talk to him, by the way. We'll talk NFL playoffs tomorrow with Cynthia Freeland because we got the full slate, the 6 games, the Super Wild Card weekend, 2 Saturday, 3 Sunday, 1 Monday. If you missed it earlier, that Rams game will be played in Glendale. They've moved the game from SoFi Stadium to Glendale. I say advantage Vikings there, just from a football perspective. That's got to be a big advantage.
Yeah.
From playing a true road game, yeah, maybe you would have had a good amount of fans, maybe. But from true road game to basically a neutral, that's a neutral game.
Yeah.
Why would the Rams have any additional advantage there?
It's not on the turf anymore.
Good
on
point.
grass.
Yeah, they roll in the grass. Yeah.
And still indoors, but
yeah,
it's different.
Yeah, I'll be intrigued to see what that looks like. Will they sell the building out in Glendale for an NFL playoff game on 4 days' notice?
Well, the drive isn't that far for if you're in LA.
Yeah, Southern California. But again, I mean,
if you're
everything
Vikings,
going on in LA, is that what you're thinking about?
I mean, if you're a Vikings fan and you plan to come to LA, I mean,
oh yeah, you just got to switch your travel and everything.
Yeah, hopefully you got protection on that flight.
Yeah, you mentioned. Oh, yeah, you already retweeted that. All right. Anyway, Brian Dutcher show is coming up at 6 p.m. Dutch is going to join us at 6. We'll talk about last night's win over Air Force. We'll look ahead to this weekend, Saturday against New Mexico. We've got you covered with Brian Dutcher coming up at 6 p.m. But we do have Jim's back page on the other side, an update from the Orange Bowl, and a whole lot more here on Jon and Jim. All right, the Aztecs will be in Albuquerque Saturday at 10 a.m. Big game. San Diego State, University of New Mexico. Pre-game coverage at 9 a.m. Ted's got the tip at 10 a.m. right here in your home of the Aztecs. San Diego Sports 760. Jon and Jim with you. Brian Dutcher show coming up at 6 p.m. Dutcher's going to join us. We're keeping an eye, really multiple eyes, on the Orange Bowl between Penn State and Notre Dame. And Penn State leads 3-0 with 6 minutes and 44 seconds to play in the first half.
Bro, number 44 is the greatest football player like ever.
Yeah, Penn State's tight end is really, really, really
What's his
good.
name?
Tyler Warren.
He's going to be a top 10, top 15 pick.
I always love when Jim ends up watching something for like a first time and he feels like he's discovered it. He's like,
he's amazing.
Dude.
I don't watch much Penn State football.
I went to Europe. You got to see this place. Like, yeah, people have been, dude.
Dude, you got to see Lake Como, bro.
Dude.
Lake Como's awesome.
I went to New York. Huge building. It's unbelievable the size of these buildings.
The pizza in New York?
The bagels.
Good.
The bagels, man.
The bagels, man. The bagels.
Have you ever had a Philly cheesesteak before?
Yeah.
It's cheesesteak, bro.
But like Jim is such a diehard NFL fan. I mean, you, right?
Yes.
Your whole life.
Yeah.
And you like college football. I mean, I'll catch you. You'll text me about stuff going on. You'll watch college football, but you're a diehard NFL fan.
I've never had like that affiliation with a college football team because I never stayed anywhere long enough. Like I have affiliation with San Diego State because we cover them and it's in San Diego. So like I attach myself to them, but I don't have that like I was an alum of this place. And even if I was, it's not like a big blue blood brand.
Or bland.
Or bland.
All right. Anyway, Brian Dutcher's show is coming up at 6 p.m. And we got a few minutes, and let's get to this. All right, what have we missed today?
So I think this is what Brent was talking about, the Lego and Nintendo collaboration.
Yeah.
So Legos and Nintendo are collaborating on a Game Boy. I'm looking at it right here.
Yeah.
That will be released in 2025. The new Lego Game Boy. There's a teaser out right now for it. They have not shown a picture of it.
No, just like the D-pad on it.
What would a Lego get? Would it just be like one game?
No, it's a Game Boy that's like
made of Legos.
Made of Legos.
Cool. Yeah, it's not like a fully functioning.
Oh, okay.
You're not going to be able to play Mario Brothers
you.
or something.
I wasn't sure. Yeah.
Yeah. They made a Lego Nintendo like a while ago.
Gotcha.
A couple of years ago. It's going to be the same thing.
Oh,
It's,
cool.
it's just a Game Boy made out of Legos.
No, I like that. That's creative.
Yeah.
I mean, Jones is into his Legos, man. Are you into Legos?
I still love
Legos.
Legos.
You are, right? Yeah.
I do. I haven't like I when I was single, I had like a shelf on my bookshelf of like all Legos.
And I wonder why. I wonder why you were single. That's shocking. That wasn't just bringing
Jim's original
one.
Jim's original wedding registry with nothing but Lego Death Stars.
I love how you said when I was saying, like, wait, now that you're married, that shelf is gone.
Well, it was gone before Aaron, but there was a point in time that
you realized this wasn't helping in your pursuit of a relationship.
Probably not. It was one of those things of like, okay, I'm gonna box these Legos up now.
So you don't think if you came home with like a Lego set tonight, you'd be like, yes, let's put it together?
No, but I wouldn't be afraid to bring home Legos because I think she doesn't care. Like Legos are cool.
Well, yeah, it's too late now.
She
already knows now. She knows
she's
what she got
locked in.
into.
Is there anything she just cannot deal with that you spend your days with?
Yeah, my phone.
Well, yeah, that's everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, but nothing like she'll sit there and watch like a Marvel movie or like one of your shows or
for sure,
your team's games.
Yeah. A lot of times, like I'll watch one of my shows.
Yeah.
And I'll ask her if she wants to watch. And sometimes she'll say yes, but a lot of times she'll be like, do I have to watch something else before this? And I'll let her know, like, yes
That's
or no.
my problem.
Yeah.
I'm 150,000 years behind in everything.
Right.
All right. What else you have?
Let me pull this up here. Hold on. Hold on. Stand by.
I'm standing.
Your back page is evolving just like the offense in the Orange Bowl.
Yeah. Taco Bell, John, is spicing up its menu with the launch of the new steak garlic nacho fries hitting stores nationwide on January 16th for $4.99.
Okay.
The dish starts with a base of crispy golden nacho fries seasoned with signature Mexican spices. It's then topped with marinated grilled steak, freshly prepared pico de gallo, a blend of shredded cheddar cheese and nacho cheese sauce. Then finished with the star ingredients, a creamy garlic ranch sauce infused with savory garlic and jalapeno peppers.
This is now available at Taco Bell's nationwide?
No, January 16th.
Okay. Soon enough.
They score?
Penn State has scored a touchdown to take a 10-0 lead or 9-0 lead.
Bro, you're winning the national championship.
And this is U.S. Taco Bell's. It's not like in Norway or something.
Are you going to buy a national championship hat?
No, dude, no. I mean, let's just first
Calm
of all,
down.
Yeah, exactly. It's 9-0 in the second quarter.
Yeah,
Everyone
okay.
relax.
Game's not over.
Right.
Yesterday I talked about Pepsi introducing a wild cherry cream soda. Today, Dr. Pepper has announced they're releasing a new blackberry flavor soda. So like all sodas are deciding that they're just going to release their soda, but with some type of fruity flavor attached.
See,
to
I'm
it.
kind of into that. Though. Like blackberry, I feel like is a good flavor for a soda.
To be fair, Dr. Pepper did it first.
Okay.
Because they've had strawberry cream soda for like at least a year.
The drink will be available in both regular and zero sugar varieties.
Mm-hmm.
Not into it. Sorry.
Not into it.
Yeah. I don't think I'll ever like Dr. Pepper.
What's your go-to?
Coke.
Brent's go-to,
Coke Zero.
and mine, Diet Pepsi. No, Diet Coke.
I like
Diet Coke.
Diet Dr. Pepper more than I like Dr. Pepper, which is weird.
Isn't it fascinating how like our taste palates are with sodas? Because some people are like only fountain,
Yeah.
only can,
Like,
only bottle,
yeah.
only Mexican Coke.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's amazing,
And when you get to Coke, it can
Yeah.
get really specific.
Very specific.
right?
Like for me, if I had to rank my Cokes, I would go Mexican Coke 1,
McDonald's fountain Coke.
McDonald's Coke 2,
Interesting.
can Coke 3, and it just tastes different. Like plastic bottle Coke towards the bottom.
But would you even go like if you had that option? If the plastic bottle Coke was right here, would you even drink it?
Yeah, it would.
You would.
But it would not
Yeah.
hit the same as
I'm
like,
not drinking plastic bottle Diet Coke because I love it in the can.
yeah, can make
Yeah.
can.
Why don't the plastic bottles? It gets warm quicker.
That's the thing.
The can stays cold longer than the plastic
Thank you.
does. So
And I can't do Dr. Pepper. I hate it. Root beer, nope.
Did they get rid of Sprite?
Like
Yeah,
Sprite.
Sprite's still
Oh,
around.
Starry is the competitor.
yeah, Starry.
Okay.
Starry used to be
Yeah.
what the hell is it called?
Oh yeah, I know. Sierra Mist.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like my life when I was a kid, it was all about Sprite. Like
Dude,
All
when I was a
about
kid-
Sprite.
Mom's like, hey, do you want to go to the big game? No, I want to drink Sprite.
when
Rest of your friends.
When I was in high school, I like mainline Mountain Dew, and that's why now if I even take a sip of Mountain Dew, I'll puke.
Wow.
I still can drink
Yeah.
Sprite. I think I had a Sprite. I don't remember actually when I had a Sprite, but anyway,
I feel like it's not as big as when we were younger.
We used to have to drink Sprite in football because we could have soda, but we couldn't have like colored sodas. You could have Sprite.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the reasoning was, but you could have like Sprite, but not that. That was the last time.
when I was a
drank Sprite.
kid, it was Sprite. When I was in my teens, it was orange soda. And
Cal
then,
likes orange soda.
and then now it's Coke.
How are you like
I don't know, dude.
alive?
I have no idea.
Well, to be fair, he did just have a kidney stone.
That is true. Yes, I don't.
All right, people are coming. You know what's funny?
What?
I get more texts on the back page than I do. Like, we'll like break down like the 2-3 zone. And I was like, enough of the 2-3 zone.
What'd you get?
More Dr. Pepper.
You don't have to tell me who texted you, but
There's a lot of people weighing in.
okay.
Including the athletic director at San Diego State that wants to know what the hell's the matter with you.
Me?
Yeah, because
What'd
you
I
don't like
do?
Dr. Pepper,
I don't at all.
and he doesn't have Chick-fil-A Coke on his list. Clean it up.
I have to pick one fast food chain. It's McDonald's every day.
Sorry. All right.
I like to
Well, so you know.
Why is number 99 kicking off Penn State? What is happening?
Things are getting weird.
The Penn State just all randomly. Okay, pull your number out of a hat. All right, you're 99.
Defensive lineman.
Brian Dutcher's show is on the other side. We're not going to ask him about his favorite soft drink, I don't think. Get you ready for
should.
Saturday against New Mexico. For Brent and Jim, I'm John. Keep it here. San Diego Sports 7.
unfiltered.